What do you guys give me if I kill that bird?
Barbara, that's a bald eagle.
Get away, Baldy! Yeah!
Oh, well. Good evening, and good evening. This is The Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve. GovsRadio.com. We are live here at Governor's Comedy Club. And what you're seeing on the screen right now is BEERMKR, special guest in studio today. BEERMKR is here. No doubt about it. He is ready to go for tonight's show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to hold it on the BEERMKR shot until I figure out why the other two cameras on us and the guests aren't working. And we will get to that in just a minute. But before we begin, we have some words from our sponsors tonight. We start off with Steve over at Rosie's Draft Solutions.
All right. Rosie's Draft Solutions is a Long Island family-owned business that provides professional draft beer system services, line cleanings and maintenance, draft beer line system installs, event dispensing solutions, and more. They are passionate about craft beer and making sure it has the same quality as when it left the brewery, and it is done by making sure the draft system the beer is being poured from is perfectly clean. Rosie services bars, restaurants, halls, events, and all other beverage establishments, including home kegerator installs across Long Island and Westchester. With backgrounds in professional brewing, certified Cicerone, I love that word, and off-flavor detection, they are here to bring you professional services so you can serve the best quality product while obtaining the best yields from your kegs. You can reach Rosie's at rosiesdraftsolutions@gmail.com, or you can call them at 631-219-2075 Monday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it's Mike's bed. And if you mention the word, your discount and maybe a little back scratch and a little rub tub.
Hey, I like that. Hey, Rosie's, thanks a lot for hanging out with us here in 2022. Really appreciate all your time and efforts towards the show. And we're not done, folks. We have more sponsors. Pete, take it away with BEERMKR.
That handsome son of a bitch on the casting couch.
Hold on, there he is. He's got a headphone set on. BEERMKR, what do you say about that? Okay, yeah.
Well, hey,
great.
I'm not offended by what he said, so we're off to a good start.
Nor should you be at that point.
BEERMKR, your at-home countertop all-grain brewing system. Works via an app. Easy to brew all different styles. They just released another one, a little Scotch wheat heavy. So I think that might be my next purchase. But BEERMKR brews all different types of styles: ales, lagers, stouts, porters, Kolsch's, Mexican lagers. IPAs, of course, both hazy and clear. Clear.
Have they been doing hazies?
Yeah, West Coast Future IPA. West Coast, East Coast, South Coast.
My bad. I didn't know
Canadian IPAs. No. BEERMKR, use promo code THEWORT for 10% off your beer purchases.
That's correct.
BEERMKR.com.
BEERMKR.
Find them on all their social media accounts.
They have media accounts?
Yeah, they do.
Well, I think I'm trying to solve all the issues here. But we do have other sponsors really quick. Tonight we are also sponsored by Brews Hardware. Go to brewshardware.com for small batch and large capacities. Go to Brews Hardware where you get your tri-clamps for days. Brews Hardware, if you go into the promo code, type in promo code THEWORT and receive a little off your order. And thank you a lot for Brewers Hardware for sponsoring us in 2020. We're also sponsored by Brewbag. Yes! Brewbag for your beer pong, cornhole. Go to brewbag.com or go to our Instagram where we have in our page the link tree where you can go in and save 10% off of your customized brewbag. They're doing vinyl wraps. You can get your company's logo, your brewery's logo, anything like that. Go to brewbag.com. It's a lot of fun to play. Brewbag.com. And finally, we're sponsored by VintageBeerShirtClubs.com. And actually, not finally. We got one more after that. VintageBeerShirtClub.com for your monthly subscription to Vintage Beer Shirt t-shirts. Go to VintageBeerShirtClub.com. Get your Vintage Beer Shirt today. Type in the promo code TheWort. Receive a percentage off your monthly order. Finally, we are sponsored by Fizzics. It's right here on the desk. Yes, and it's on the screen so now people can see it. Yes, it is your at-home tap dispensary for things like a growler, or a little 16-ounce hand grenade, or a cross-promotion, little 750 milliliter of wine. If you want to do wine on tap, you can do that. There's a lot of different options here. So go to Fizzics.com, in the promo code, type in the Wort, receive 10% off your order, and you get some also cool. They got some, I don't know where I put my carrying bag. I got a nice hard case now for it. I can carry around a little death hood that you can throw on there. It's a lot of fun.
Physics question.
Yeah.
So do you do the little bubbles with the wine?
You can. Yeah, you can do the pushback. And it adds a little nitrogen in there. Not nitrogen, but it's like small, tiny CO2 tubes.
For the wine. What is that? Have you tried that? Just curious.
I have not. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they got like a little, I don't know, what do you call that?
What is like aerate the...
Kind of like a spritzer, but without the actual spritz. I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah. I'm in. Go to Fizzics.com, type in promo code TheWort, and receive 10% off your order. Thank you very much. Shout-outs again to Hopscotch and our buddies over at the Hopped Up Network. And we are live here tonight with our guest. I know you've been waiting. I know it's been, let's see, 7 minutes of song and dance, as they say. But we have Mike from Circa Brewing Company in Brooklyn. We were there yesterday, had a great time. We have a lot to talk about. Steve's taking apart the physics on camera. You might want to, you're going to swap it.
There we go.
Well, you're really supposed to run water through it. So you got your water bottle there. Run water through it, and it'll clean it out. And that way you're not,
What am I doing with the water then?
You just dump it out into your glass and dump it into this bucket that we have here.
Oh, I didn't know we had.
Remember, we still have the puke bucket here.
Spit bucket.
Puke bucket.
There you go. Enjoy that. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Thanks a lot for coming out tonight. I really
of course.
appreciate it. We had a great time with you yesterday, hanging out at the brewery, saw a lot of stuff. We have a lot to talk about because a lot of questions even came up after you left as we were sitting there discussing we saw some barrels up there we want to talk about.
Yeah.
We have some. We got some
Spoiler
stuff.
alert,
Yeah.
they're a decoration.
Right. Okay.
It's funny you say that because
Let's pretend they're real.
Well, it does feel spoiled now.
I
Thank you
was
for the warning.
pointing out. I'm looking at them. I'm like, those staves don't look like they're holding anything.
Oh, yeah, you shine a light right through them.
Oh, boy. Well, there goes that barrel program that I was going to talk about. Hey, it's got water going, see? That's good enough. Just a little right through it. Mike, again, thanks a lot for coming out. We know you live quite the distance. Really appreciate the drive out. I think it's just more appropriate here. Mike's better. Everything's better than doing Zoom. I'm so over the Zoom stuff. I mean, I know we still do it every now and then. I know at my school we still have faculty meetings that do it. And then, there's just some things you can't get away from. But in this case, this is just so much better. It's the one-on-one conversation like we had at the brewery yesterday. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, I listen to a ton of podcasts, and just listening to people laugh 3 seconds after a joke is cut or something like that, it just totally derails it. And it's going to sound way better here than like my computer with my dogs barking in the background.
Well, we've had that. We had Chris from the Warbler, whose dog was going, ow, like howling as we're doing the intro. What I do to reset that, by the way, Steven, turn it to pull it up, put it back down, set it nice flat first, and get that seal. Gonna need that seal on there. Try it a few times. You'll get it. It's like a trick. I know it. You know what? I've had this for over a year, and it got a lot of use. So I might have, over time now, kind of really messed with the seal a little bit. But that's the key, is to get that air sucked in there so the beer comes flying up. You can do it.
Keeping my mouth shut.
You can do it. You'll get it. He's just going to play with it all night. Don't suck. No.
That'll help.
No sucking.
That'll help.
There's no sucking allowed.
That's what it needs
Keep
to
trying.
perform.
Keep
You never
resetting it. That's what I have to do. I just have
That's
to.
my job for today, guys.
Just keep
I'm
resetting
not
it
going to
until
be talking about anything.
Once it
I'm
starts,
just going to keep resetting the
once
physics.
it starts flowing, man, it's good.
That's what she said.
Steve, I think you'll do great, wonderful things. I don't think this is your forte, is tricking out the physics.
No,
And Peter,
wanna
we've
say
been
things.
drinking your beer that you brewed on the Beer Maker. Give us your, really quick, before we get into Mike, your ideas about how that went. How'd the brew process go?
Oh, seamless, easy as always. It's like 3 steps. I think the most arduous portion is like filling up the water thing and walking upstairs
Yeah.
to fill it up again. And that's about as hard as it was.
And again.
And there you go.
And again.
And this time, actually, I took the spent grain and I made doggy biscuits.
Doggy biscuits.
Yeah, that was awesome.
that I brought for everybody. My dog liked them.
My dog's been eating them.
No?
Didn't?
No, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was good. Other than I had a fridge problem, so the rest of the grain got spoiled. But
Really?
yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, like fucking magic. There it is.
I
on
told you,
cue.
every so
There we
often, you
go.
just gotta be nice to it and it'll pour. So, Mike, let's talk a little bit about it. I want you to give us a little history of where you started with all this. Right now, we were talking yesterday. We're going to kind of revisit a lot of those questions, but give us the background. Where did you come from? How did this all start? How did you get started on this journey through to where you are today?
All right. So I guess I've always been in and adjacent to the hospitality industry. My dad's a chef, so I was always in kitchens, always around bars and everything like that. And then once I went to school, was always working in a bar, working in a restaurant, was always a job. Like, it was always there. It was always a way to make money. And then I went to college for theater arts, and got a degree in theater production.
Yeah.
Did that for a while. And I don't know how much you know about professional theater, but it's a hard partying industry.
Yeah, it's tough.
And so it got like in school, the interest was like 2008 or so. Started getting into like what was nascently craft beer like in upstate New York at that point. So like, we would have Sam Adams and, Sierra Nevada, and Stone would make its way in there. But for us, the pinnacle of like beer at that point,
Empire?
Miller Chill.
Oh, not even close.
No, not even close.
Chill.
But that was kind of that was like the first gateway into being like, beer can taste different. It doesn't have to just taste like corny water. Like, and if I would say that every fruited sour or fruited Kolsch stands on the brave shoulders of Miller Chill and Bud Light Lime. But then, Empire was they were a really big influence. And then as I started getting like more educated in craft beer, Middle Ages Brewing up in Syracuse.
Middle Ages, yeah.
Super fantastic beer.
I'll be in Syracuse, February 4th, I believe. That's a Friday. I'll be up there. I'm gonna stop at a few places. I got my eyes on some things. Any recommendations?
In Syracuse, I'm not entirely sure what's still there.
Or around?
But if you want to venture out a little bit further, head out west a little bit more, down in the Finger Lakes. A lot of fantastic breweries down there.
Yeah.
Lucky Hair Brewing.
Oh, I've heard of it, yep.
Fantastic brewery.
It's about an hour out, right, to get over there?
Just
Somewhere around
about,
there?
because there's no direct route to get there.
Yeah,
But,
it's all like Route 2. It's over the hills and through the woods.
yeah, and there's a lot of little places over there. Two Goats Brewing, just a
Yes.
Yeah.
duck,
3
just
goats
a-
would be too many, for
Yes.
sure.
But you gotta keep
2
two.
is the
It's
right
the
amount.
ideal number of goats.
They're both really great places, run by really great people. Wagner Valley Brewing, attached to Wagner Winery, is also pretty good.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, they've been
I'll
just
check that out.
quietly making beer.
Yeah. Under the table, like, yeah, we got beer.
Yeah, it's the stop that everybody goes to, and their husbands get to enjoy the wine.
Yes.
Ah.
And if you're feeling a little squirrely, Seneca Lake Distilling,
Yeah.
fantastic booze.
I went to Hudson River Distilling, or Hudson River Distilling, and then there was also the one that's in by Yogi Bear, by what's the cider that's Angry Orchard. There's a really great distillery. It's in 3 different buildings down like a hill. One's like the tasting room and the shop. Then there's the restaurant, and then there's like a tap room where they also have local craft beer because I believe they have a farmer's license. So more than likely they got everything there, and it's awesome. And literally, if you're camping over at Yogi Bear, Jellystone, or whatever it is, you can walk across the street and it's right over there. So it's right across the street. I forget the name of it. I want to say it's like in Tannertown, whatever, something town.
Tannerville?
Tannerville, maybe? It seems about right. Maybe Tannerville. But yeah, it's just the same concept. The craft distilling in New York is underrated at this point. People are doing some amazing things, and they're just little places, tucked away.
Yeah, little tiny spots. And the thing that we all kind of run into in the fermented product industry and like the alcohol industry is that our stuff isn't instantaneous. Like the distilleries, you want to put together
Takes years.
decent whiskey. You got 2 years before you see any profits off that batch, and like
Any revenue off that batch,
yeah,
not profits.
Yes, exactly. And then with the wineries, if they're doing it proper and they got a vineyard going, you're
Even
not
longer.
Yeah, you got years before those plants mature to the point where they're gonna,
Sure.
do their thing. And in breweries, we're a little bit more slapdash. We can crank something out in 2 weeks, but still, and somebody comes in and be like, "Oh, what do you got that's new?" And it's like, it's nothing for a couple weeks. You come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Come talk to us. But yeah, it's about the long and short of the upstate. And so like getting into it, I worked in theater for a long time and got to travel around the country and drink in a bunch of different places. I got lucky enough to live in Burlington, Vermont for a stretch of time.
Oh, boy. Bingo.
And where I was 2010, 2011, where I was living.
There's a couple breweries that are from.
But they're
that neck of
no-namers,
the
right?
woods.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
No one
there's
anyone's heard of.
Nothing
There's one
either.
called Magic Hat.
No, nothing hat.
Like just on the road from Magic Hat, and then got a bunch of little tiny ones. I think it's Vermont Beer Company or Vermont Craft Brewing, like right in downtown Burlington, making just, from what I remember, really good English beers at the time. Like,
Was that the same? Is it the same guy from down here? Is it Mike? Was that Mike from Port Jeff?
No,
Wasn't
Mike
he?
from Port Jeff
no.
was
He was
Killington.
Killington. There you go.
That's-
That's what I'm
has
thinking of.
since,
Not Burlington.
closed.
I know it was a tin.
Yeah.
It was a ton.
and then from there, worked around. I got tired of doing what I was doing, moving to a different place every 6 to 9 months, working in a different theater, living in a different town, and got settled back upstate and found a place that was looking to hire an assistant brewer. I'd been homebrewing for a long stretch of time at that point, and found a place that was dumb enough to hire me as an assistant. They no longer exist, but that's for
Any correlation?
no, actually.
Thank goodness.
They lasted a year after I left.
Oh boy. Which place was it?
It was a little place called Bandwagon Brewing. It was in downtown Ithaca.
Nobody jumped on that.
Yeah, no.
Nobody was on the bandwagon. No.
It was there was a lot of seats on the wagon.
Yeah.
And got started there, and the head brewer left about 6 months into me being there, and they're like, "Yeah, you get up there, you do it, stupid. You got no experience, but yeah, we like the way you work." So I took that over. We built up a 10-barrel production facility on a little farm a couple miles up the road. Was there for almost 3 years doing that. Kind of just by the time I left, it felt like spinning my wheels because didn't have any other experience, didn't have anybody to teach me stuff, and
That's got to be the hardest part. Like you sitting there, you go there for a purpose of to be part of something, have that experience to make it a jumping off point, and you're like, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah,
And what do I do now?
Sort of plateau. I guess after a few months, right?
and there's there's only so much you can teach yourself.
Yeah.
You read all you want, but
And that's probably before YouTubeversity launched.
pretty much. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was getting books from the Brewers Association
Yeah.
through the mail, through a catalog, so it was a whole thing, and so that's when I moved down to Baltimore, where I had lived previously, and got a job with Circa Brewing Company. Worked there for about 2.5 years. Learned a lot. Made a lot of cool, really cool shit.
Little different than the bandwagon in the tucked away
Yep.
hamlet of Nova, New York.
Just
Where it was.
it was
Ithaca. That's right. I know. Sub
one of those
hamlet.
places.
That's why I said hamlet. Hamlet's like a sub village, right?
That's
Isn't it?
Paul Yorick. I know. Oh,
But that's got to be a huge transition from a couple of people in the brew house to now
it was from just me
just
To-
a couple.
being a part of a team and
Yeah.
working with equipment I had never even seen before. My first day, they stuck me on a centrifuge that I was like, I don't know, it spins it around real good. What?
Spinning.
And so,
spinning.
worked there for a bunch of years, and then when the
do you miss this centrifuge?
yes, I
Yeah.
do.
I bet you
It
do.
was a fantastic piece of
Yes.
equipment when it was acting right. But
Someone throws a rusty penny in there, and it's all over. The whole centrifuge is over.
Even too much yeast, it's over.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just all the particulate just kind of interrupts the flow, I guess?
They're meant to pull all that stuff out, but if you just hit too much, it gets real angry with you and starts shooting it down the drain and tells you fucked up. And
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed, Mike.
Yeah. And it yells real loud and like stops itself and makes a noise a whole brewery can hear, so they know you fucked up.
They all know that you did it. Mike's on it again.
There we go.
Yeah. The head brewer who had been there for forever at that point was being transitioned away because they wanted to do like a brand refresh because the ownership felt that like things were kind of stale and they wanted to like regain some relevancy in the beer market because we were based in Baltimore or just outside of Baltimore, and we say Baltimore because it's easier. But we didn't have any draft lines in the city. We didn't have
no contracts,
nothing. We could not sell beer in Baltimore City. We would have some stuff on like liquor store shelves, but they would just sit. And we would be shipping. So the big one was Sweet Baby Jesus, a chocolate peanut butter porter. That's the one that everybody knows. And we would ship that all over the place.
How does that happen? Is it the marketing
Shitty
team? Is
salesperson?
Yeah. What's
Well, we didn't really have a lot of salespeople because what they did was transitioned from a small brew pub into like several restaurant brew pub kind of situation, and then into the big production facility. And they were like, they just didn't, because it was everybody who worked there at that, like who was there doing that transition. It was their first brewery, so they were all learning on the go. And so like, things they didn't have that kind of like backing behind them that they really needed to like.
But do you think people in the restaurant area there got scared? Like they already have these brew pubs, they're not going to have anything for. You think it was a little bit of that too, just lack of communication? That like, look, we're looking to send stuff out. You guys want to pick up a line or?
Yeah, it definitely could have been that. I know that the environment was a little different in Baltimore back then. Like there was a little bit more competition because there was only a couple of big guys, and then when a bunch of new places started to open to like really like enhance that brewing market, like that's when things kind of scaled back. And so it was, okay, how do we compete with these guys? How do we like stay relevant with all these fresh new little breweries coming up? And so that was the guy who was made head brewer and myself. That was kind of our charge, was to, okay, we got to make new stuff. So we're gonna make new stuff, and that's what we did. Like it was
time to come up with something that's going to compete with the little guys. And there's a David and the Goliath moment right there for breweries. I mean, you got a big brewery. You see, it's just kind of at the point of entry. It's like a stalemate. Like nothing's going on. That's killing it. And now you have a chance to jump on the market. You'll have a time before guys like you come into a brewery and save some of the face of that and be able to resurrect the name, the brand, and of course produce good beer.
Yeah, and it was definitely a team effort. Like it took a ton of people to like really get things turned around and get it going. And like that was, for as rough of a job as it could be, sometimes that was probably one of the better companies I've worked for. Like great crew of people, and just like the ownership is like Dave, the owner, was super focused on like, okay, this is the goal. We got to do this. We also have to keep doing what we've been doing, but like we got to do this stuff too. And he did kind of give us a freedom to like just create, and like
and there was that jumping off point you were looking for. That was the experience you wanted upstate and Ithaca and beyond, and that was something that you had to be like, yes. At that point, were you now allowed to create recipes? What was your focus at that point?
So what we were doing was sort of revamping some old recipes, and then it was a lot of like it was a ton of younger guys who half of them were really into like all the hype breweries and like going down and doing the can drops and doing that whole thing. And then there was a couple of us who were much more like traditionally minded, like really looking to the older stuff. And then we had, I think we had 2 or 3 brewmasters roll through there while I was there. And the one who was there for the longest while I was there, he had been brewing for almost 40 years. He started in the Philippines brewing for San Miguel down in the Philippines.
Holy
so
shit.
he knew industrial lager and industrial production, and like had all of that information. And
mass quantities of lagers.
Yeah. and like quality control standards that we had never seen before, like that we just didn't know because none of us had been in that position.
Or in a production facility that large that you could do that and get it out in mess.
Yeah, and like we got spoiled. Like we had all the best equipment we could
toys,
need. Like we had everything. Most of the time, we had everything we needed. But it was just like, okay, we're gonna make these things. We're gonna do this, and it was balls to the wall. Like it was work, and it was hard work, and we did it, and we drank a lot, and we yelled at each other a lot, and like it got real. Like there was a lot of animosity, like towards the end. But I think it was just because we were all under a ton of pressure, and like that crew kind of fell apart. But it was all our own fault. Like we 25, 26, 27-year-old guys, you don't know how to like really discuss out your problems and like make a go of it. Like you're just an idiot.
None of you really want to at that age. You're just like, I'll just drink my problems away. That was the answer.
Yeah.
And then take it out on something like a piece of wood and smash it over things. And you're like, what's wrong with you? Well, nothing. I don't have any problems.
I didn't just throw that keg across the brewery. Don't worry about it.
Are any of the those recipes you came up with, are any of those still available from Duclaw? Anything you...
The recipes that like we all developed, because it was always a team effort. Like
sure,
we could, you could take credit for like an idea or whatever, but I'm always going to give credit to everybody that I worked with, down from the people who pay the bills down to the guys who fold case trays. Like it's everybody's like, it's everybody's thing. So like I'm not gonna sit here and take credit for their one. It's called Purple Passion. It is I believe it is a black lava sea salt and blackberry goza. It is a Ravens themed beer.
I don't even think I saw DeClaw come out with the goza. I always remember the stout. There was an IPA in there. There was some stuff, but those weren't sold as more like taproom type stuff, or
so they were all like the distribution of that one was much more local. Same with this other one we had called Gozos. It was a cantaloupe and sea salt goza that was Orioles themed, and we sold a ton of it during baseball season.
Yeah, there you go. That's always good to like throw the sports theme out there. People will gobble it up.
Especially,
and it's good. If it's good, forget it.
Yeah, and the liquid spoke for itself. The same as always. Like that was always our goal. Like was to make sure that no matter what we did, no matter how gimmicky we got, and did we get gimmicky? The liquid always had to be good. So the liquid had to stand up to any of just like the bullshit criticism from people.
Did obviously I like a good goes on a summer day, baseball season, hot summer days at the stadium. Did you get to sell to the stadium and the distributor there, or
not while I was there?
No, but they have it now.
Maybe.
I would feel like you're DeClaw. You're fucking from Baltimore.
Well,
just outside Baltimore. But I mean,
just outside.
But you're like the staple there. They should have that local Heavy Seas should be there. They should have a bunch of those types of breweries on the like when I go to Citi Field or Yankee Stadium, I want to see some Queens and some Brooklyn breweries on tap, not just Brooklyn, though I like it, and not just maybe LIC, who was in there a couple of years ago, dropped off, came back. I see Goose Island, I like it. There's certain things I like about their lineup, but
when you go to Citi Field now, you see like Five Boroughs and
right, yeah, that's
which
the kind
is
of stuff
good to see,
I want to see that all those types of stadiums take in a little bit of their local flavor. So over at like in MetLife Stadium, take in some of the Jersey. Bolero Snort should be there. They're 10 minutes away, maybe less. A couple of those, let's say, Brooklyn, Northern Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx area too. Just get them all in there, because that, to me, when I go in there, you're still going to have a crap ton of Bud Light, a crap ton of Miller and all the other stuff, Coors Light. But you should want or have a spot there that for those craft beer drinkers, even if it's one in the whole stadium.
Like Blue Moon.
Yeah, right. Just like,
yes.
Like a nice Hefeweizen.
For the craft beer connoisseur.
Yes, this Stella Artois is delicious. Let me get my knife across the top and take off the foam. Now enjoy the game, young sir. Thank you. I would imagine, though, having, the brewery there and that relationship, it just should have made sense sooner than it did.
Yeah, definitely. And part of it does come down to, in Maryland especially, the franchise laws with distributors are really strict and really weird.
Yep.
Really? So it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
There's one county where you can self-distribute, but it's Montgomery County. It's down towards the DC suburbs, and the laws are really, they're very, very different than
That's strange
than here. But we also have we started building a sales team, and the sales team that's there still the core of that sales team are the people who really did a lot of that work.
Yeah,
And
it take a lot of like just getting on the phone, traveling out,
Yeah.
hitting the ground.
And one of our biggest, the guy who's the head of sales now, Brooke, he worked for like the best liquor store in the city, a place called the Wine Source. Shameless plug because I spent a lot of money there.
Well, we have Total Wine. Do you have Total Wine down there?
Yes, there are Total Wines in there. Yeah. But he used to be the beer buyer.
$180 there the other day.
Did you? Oh,
Yes. Those are rookie numbers.
That was for
That was
like
just for
a
your
couple of weekends. That wasn't even. I didn't get anything for me even.
Oh, what were you
It
doing?
was like for the
family and-
yeah, for like the wife and my daughters. and
Christmas and
I'm like,
holidays.
what 180? I'm like 12
Was
bottles.
$85 of it seltzers?
It was like no, it was 12 bottles of wine.
Oh yeah.
There was these those cocktails like the Bacardi
Oh, yeah.
cocktails, mojito things, and
Oh, the gin and tonic one?
Yeah,
it's
they-
not Half Moon. What is it called? It's something.
High Noon.
High Noon. Thank you. Yeah. They actually those aren't bad.
Bacardi does one. It's a rum punch.
Yeah.
And a mojito. They freaking taste really good. 10%,
know if I can
12%
get-
alcohol.
I'd rather make my own mules or something.
Yes,
That's
me
always
too.
nice.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Get a couple bottles to
We
go.
got a lot of people checking in here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Who's checking in? Give a
Let's
quick
see
shout
what we
out.
got here.
I
I got
saw
the-
Heatmeister
my
Brews checking in. I saw Six Harbor.
Six Harbors, and they said
They wanted to join the
by
show.
the way, there is a distillery opening up in Huntington.
oh,
Really?
So look at that.
That'd be interesting.
So we got the Heatmeister.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go all the way back.
Wow, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Huh? Jesus.
Rockaway Beach Studios, the Heatmeister, Six Harbors, Les Kevs, Craft Not Crap Li. She Loves Beer. Sheila.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
What's up,
Sheila.
Phineas Frog.
Oh, yeah, from the Long Island Beer Club. Yeah, Phineas is on there.
Big Rob 187.
Hey, Big Rob.
Dat G Sally.
Hey.
Frank Del Gorcio.
I think we're just going to do a whole segment on Steve reads the names off Instagram. This is fantastic.
Bro, this is like
Pronounce these handles.
the
Go.
nostalgist.
Oh.
We got Manny from Lithology.
Hey, what's up, Manny?
And we got Ryan Hannon 4.
Oh, well, a lot of people checking in tonight on the live Instagram feed. Yes, we are live on Instagram right now.
And Manny says, have a great show, boys.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Thank you,
We're also
boys.
live on YouTube and live on Facebook. And the phone number here, if you want to call in and join the show, 516-465-3990. It's right there at the bottom of the screen if you're watching.
Wizard
If not,
Romney's in there, too.
Steve will put it in the Instagram chat if anyone wants to join in. Go ahead, type it in, 516-465-3990. I say it 18 times a night. You got to
I
know
know,
by
and
now.
I don't get any of it.
516-465-3990. Give us a call and chat with Mike. So, Mike, you well-traveled, as we know. You down in Baltimore, how long were you at DeClaw?
I was there about 2.5 years.
That's a good amount of time to get a lot of great experience. What, right now, before we get into kind of where you went from there, what were the big takeaways coming from a big, manufacturer?
Production brewing kind of sucks. In the fact that like it gets very, very repetitive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're not into like it's actually fantastic for being hungover, because you just go into autopilot for your 400,000th batch of porter, and then having access to people who know what they're doing, and then having access to barrels. Actually, taking it back to that little gem.
Talked about before the show?
Yeah. We really started working on a barrel program there because they had a ton of barrels. They had stuff in barrels, but it was just sitting there. And then it was in my first year there, barrel aged sour called The Devil Made Me Do It won the Governor's Cup.
Ah, there you go. Nice.
So there got to be much more interest in like really pursuing the barrel program and like working on
Breaks
that,
up the
like,
production day, too, that you get to go over to the barrels and, take some tests, take some culture, see what happens.
Yeah, and some barrel days were a little rough because when you're doing 80 barrels and you have to taste every single one.
All right.
Starting at 8 a.m.
and figure out how to blend them.
Yeah, and like it gets when you hit like 40, like it's fun for the first 20, and then like 24, 25 is usually like vinegar, and then you get to like 40, and you're just like, fuck, how many more of these do we have? Like, can we just can we just dump a couple of these so we don't taste them?
That seems to me like a good TikTok right there for like, to go out on the internet. Like 20 barrels in, and the guy just said 40 barrels, and he's like, 80 barrels.
You're just done. That day is over.
Palate shot, nothing left.
Oh, yeah, you can't taste it. By the end of the day, like, you could drink coffee and it tastes like water. Like,
You go to have bacon, you shed a tear. I can't taste the bacon. Fuck
Why?
I mean, that alone brings you to kind of where you are, right? So you left the Claw.
yeah, and then I spent almost a year at DC Brow down in Washington, D.C.
I've been there.
Yeah, fantastic company.
Cool place,
Great
too.
people. Yeah.
Isn't that right outside National Stadium? On that walkway, or there was one there?
No, that's that's Blue Jacket. That's
But it wasn't Blue Jacket then. I definitely went to DC. I got to remember. Maybe I didn't go to it there. Maybe they had like a satellite bar set up. It wasn't the actual brewing.
potentially
brew house.
Because like DC Brow is just over. It's just over the line. It's in Bladensburg.
Okay.
So it's outside of downtown, and under in this little warehouse under a post office and next to a fried chicken joint. Like,
Sounds ideal.
Yeah.
Building customer base.
Yeah.
And fried chicken.
Yep.
and you can mail your packages when necessary.
Yeah. Mail was never late getting there. So if anybody ordered anything, you just order it to the brewery. It's there in like 2 days. But that was a great little place to work for as well. I took over their barrel aging program for the time that I was there. Did a lot of blending and like taking old barrels that have been sitting around and like finding something to do with them. Got to participate in the Jameson Caskmates program, which was really cool.
Oh, cool.
So what did that entail? Did you have to like sign up for it? It was a lottery. How did that work?
They had done it before, and they just kept reaching out to us.
Oh.
It was through some previous relationship.
With one of the owners, or
I think it was through a distributor or something like that. Yeah. And like working with that was pretty cool. Like their barrels they sent us were always dog shit, but
yeah,
they just if I want a third use Jack Daniel's barrel. But it was really cool, and like we got to taste. They sent us cases of stuff, and like.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was another kind of production brewery job. That's where I learned how to make lager, like really, really learned how to make lager, because that's one of their best beers. It's one of their best sellers. And we just made it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, here's how you really do it. Like I knew how to make lager the quick and dirty way, like the big industrial way, but then like really learning the craft of like making a lager and doing all the testing and sensory on it throughout fermentation to really dial in like exactly the thing you want. And no batch of lager, like no batch of their Pilsner leaves that building without everyone on the brew staff signing off on it. Like we would always try everything, and everybody would try everything. And it was that place was all about consistency.
It's like the jury in a murder trial. Like
yes.
Pete's trying to convince that last old biddy that the tax evasion of the guy that we were talking about from Staten Island. Or was it Staten Island? No, it was in
Staten
Brooklyn.
Island Ferry.
It was a Staten Island Ferry, right? He fell and slipped. He was a worker. Yeah, that's right.
Slip, trip, and fall.
Slip, trip, and fall. And yeah, I mean, if one guy holds out, does it really just stop right there?
Yeah, it stops until it's like, and it's not, nobody's like petty about it or anything.
No. They're being honest.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, okay, this needs to sit for another couple of days, or like this needs to just go through a little bit more of a rest or a little bit more process, like, and we'll revisit it. It was never, nobody was ever just like, no.
Dump it.
Yeah, no, we never did that.
This is shit.
What? Mike comes running out. What did I hear? That's not happening. Figure this shit out in the background. I mean, that's got to be a good part of that process, right? You got to be happy that once it gets through all those checkpoints of everyone that knows beer that works there, you're very happy to see it leave the door. You'll know, quality control. It's gone through it all. It's
exactly
cross the T's and dot the I's.
And the owner, one of the owners, Jeff, he's a real science nerd, so he has all like the hardcore lab equipment.
Oh yeah,
all they're doing all the tests on it, and so
many Bunsen burners.
Yeah,
beakers and
lots of test tubes.
And it was really so we would know that everything that went out, if it came back as a problem, wasn't our problem.
Right.
It's really so we don't have to give any refunds.
Were you packaging? Were you just sending out through kegs?
We were doing so kegs and cans.
Okay.
And then some like large format. Well, actually, we moved into all cans. We put a Russian Imperial Stout in a can and just like turned a few heads with that one. People were just like, "What?
12%? 14? Ooh. 12-ounce can, 16-ounce can,
16-ounce cans.
And what year was this? No, seriously.
You got a DeLorean? You want to go back?
started in 18, then 19 again. They've been putting them out ever since.
Okay. Only because now it's people don't even think twice about it. You see Russian Imperial, you see also, but yeah, around 17, 18, if you were doing that, people were like, why is this not in a large format bottle? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Why is this not going to gush all over my counter because I didn't store it correctly?
Exactly.
I like a good gusher.
Yeah, you know, you want to clean yourself out at the end of
Yeah, no, I don't. I was just kidding. Being very sarcastic.
No, you're a gusher.
Yeah, that's true. You got me on that one. So you're at DC Brow. You got this experience again. Duclaw, big place. DC Brow, smaller place.
Similar sizes, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It was producing as much?
Yeah, they were just about equal those couple of years.
Get out of here. Wow.
Brow really only sells like 60% of their business while I was there was straight in like DC Metro area.
Okay.
Like DC Metro and surrounding suburbs. And so like
So you had enough contracts, enough lines in the city that you could definitely sustain all of that beer going on. All right, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And aside from like the summertime in that sweaty little basement, here we go.
Yep.
It was fantastic.
It does get hot in DC. A little hotter than it does up here. They don't have the wind off the ocean like we do here. But I want to find out because so right now we know you live in Staten Island.
I do, yes.
And not that that's an odd place to live, but it's like a weird thing for people even here on Long Island. Have just such a big community. It's a big place, city, another island, okay. But Staten Island's just its own thing. So what made you kind of come from DC, and that's where you stop there first, or
Pete Davidson.
yeah,
I was all trying to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, time to.
I got to get divorced first.
Yeah.
So I moved to Staten Island because it's where my girlfriend
Chloe.
lived.
Is Chloe? Who's the youngest one?
Caitlin and...
No, not Caitlin. Caitlin's the father. Who's the young woman? She's like 22.
Kylie?
Kylie, there you go. Kylie Jenner.
I'm so embarrassed right now.
Yeah, you should be.
I am.
It's a good thing I didn't remember it, so thank you. There you go. There's a couple of Kardashians left.
And don't talk about Caitlin like that.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I
won a decathlon.
I figured as much. You had this in-between area. Did you go back upstate?
Yeah, I briefly went back upstate. Stayed with my parents for a little while with the intention of the intention was moving to the city. And I was just gonna go up there, work in a restaurant for 6-7 months, like just save money move. And then 2-3 weeks into that, things kind of fell apart. I don't know if anybody. We weren't allowed outside. There was no toilet
that
paper.
thing. Gotcha. No, that was just a passing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just 2 weeks.
Yeah, but good.
It's what I thought. So it was
locked down for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Everything got back to
Everything was back to normal.
perfect.
Yeah,
Gotta flatten that curve.
Yeah, we flattened it real nice.
Just the way they thought it would.
Little did we know it wasn't the children's roller coaster. It was the cyclone.
Well, we're flattening it. It's just in the wrong axis.
Right. That's a good point. I hear February 15th, basically COVID's over, and I'm hoping that's the case,
Right.
but I'm optimistic. I was optimistic a few times in the last few years.
Got to give that up.
No,
I know.
It's going to be less like South Park.
I hope not.
37 years from now, it's still COVID.
Oh, no. Please, no. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm sorry. So I had to take a sip before I asked that question. The whole thing. So you went upstate, and this was what January, Feb time?
February, yeah.
All right. So you missed Steve's brewery closing right around that moment. And you could have actually owned Barrage Brewing Company.
I would have sold it to you.
I would have sold it
Instead of to the guy in Detroit that bought it lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what he did with it, but
God
bless him.
It's in his garage.
God bless him.
It's a real barrage now.
Oh, yeah.
And so that happened. Were you stuck there then upstate? Or did you say, I'm just going to push through and make it down to the city?
So I got laid off, and I was like, okay, I'll go visit my girlfriend. It's 2 weeks. I'll stay for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I love the way he says, it's just 2 weeks.
2 years later.
2 years later, I haven't left. But I just went. Got laid off on the 16th. Got on a train on the 17th. Was down here and didn't leave. And was just I was just unemployed on my girlfriend's couch for.
Was it
6
weird
months.
to come to the city? I mean, live in the city for the first time during those moments.
I think it was fantastic for me because I never.
There is a bright side. Yes.
I never thought I would live in New York City. Like I always actively was just like, I don't want to live in this fucking city. I fucking hate this place. Like it can sink into the ocean. And then like came in here and like experienced it and like got to walk around with like not a shitload of people all over the place and like
Truly enjoy the architecture and the grounds and the walking around and I get it.
and like that's kind of was like, okay, I guess I can tolerate this. And like after
So you agree the people in New York City are the problem?
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I include myself in that as well.
No self-deprecation around here. It's the one thing we leave off the table.
Really?
No, Steve, I don't know what you're doing. But I mean, that's got to be like I don't want to say culture shock, but something completely different from working in DeClaw, Baltimore City, DC City. I know you came from upstate, but that's got to be like, wow. I thought it was gonna. I thought there was gonna be more to that, but you didn't want that.
No, I always wanted to live in a city. Like I grew up in the country, and I am not.
A country boy.
But if I have to be, I will be. Like I can fit in at the bonfire, but like
It's the beard. It's the beard.
Yeah. It's the brewer's uniform.
Yeah.
Makes me look
Yeah.
outdoorsy.
I did notice you don't have a Jeep, and of course, I don't think you own a quad at this point.
I do own a Jeep.
Oh, shit. There it is.
All right, so you still got some country in you still.
Yeah, it lives in my parents'
There
garage.
you go, nice.
But yeah, and then I'd rather live in a city. I'd rather be able to like get Indian food at 4 a.m. or like
It's true.
having the access. Like when you grow up without access to like anything because you live in the middle of nowhere, have it like if you really wanted like always want to try. Like I'm always trying new stuff and I'm always looking for new things to do and new experiences and stuff like that to keep life from being a just crushing slog. So like a city presents that, and I think living in a couple of B tier cities, like you work your way up. It's like, and that's what made New York City a little bit more like I wouldn't say inviting, but much more tolerable.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's just like the dream of kind of making it in the big city.
Yeah, yes.
It's always there. You have as much as the people make it shit. The aura of New York City still allows it to be like this thing that you just can't escape. You're never going to move again, are you? You're pretty much here now. You would never.
Hopefully, I don't want to pack.
There's nothing off the table yet.
I don't want to pack up my shit again. I just got settled in. It's been 2 years.
How is Staten Island? I mean, give me because I visited a few times. I've driven through it a million times. What's the vibe on there? It's like separate from everything else, right? It's not New York City, so you can't.
A lot of
think
mob
that.
bosses, right?
No, there's not a lot.
Well, there was that one that got shot like a year or two ago.
Well,
In his own
that
fucking
guy.
driveway.
Yeah. It's different.
Yeah.
It's how do I put this gently? It's a very,
Don't put it
Yeah,
gently.
well, we're not from there, so I'm not
it's
going to
a,
offend.
yeah. I just don't want to piss off my neighbors.
Yeah, he doesn't want to drive home and go, fuck.
Shit. I'm going to tell them to listen to the show, and yet they're going to be pissed off I shitted on Staten Island. I thought it was always nice. I mean, the mall is huge and awesome. I've been in the town where Flagship and Killsborough is, and pretty cool walking through back and forth. There's some really nice areas. Richmond area is nice. There's a couple of good places on the North Shore there that overlook the harbor and everything. There's some beautiful places there.
Yeah,
And the
there's-
dump.
And then there's the dump.
There's a
right.
zoo.
The dump.
The, the zoo is very yes.
The Staten Island Zoo is there. That's right.
But it's a very isolated community. People don't really take well to outsiders, really, unless you like
Like in a Children of the Corn way, or
almost.
Right
There's
there.
a lot more like aqua velva and hair gel. But most of my neighbors are
Hairnet.
nice.
Aqua Velva. Man, he pulled that one out.
I'm older than I look. But a lot of times, as long as I don't talk about anything of any importance at the bar, everything's fine.
Yeah, good idea. Smart move.
Yeah, we don't go out a ton on the island.
Yeah.
Usually, if we go out, we go into the city or one of several little holes that we've found where like-minded individuals exist, and we don't have to hear about Q or anything like that.
it is. That's one of the things about Staten Island that everyone pictures New York City as being very politically left. I guess is maybe a generic way of saying it, but Staten Island skews very much to the right.
Yeah.
And I think in the boroughs, I think that's the only representation that's Republican, right?
It's the only red borough.
Yeah.
leaned real heavily for Curtis in the last mayoral election.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know, I think it would be kind of cool to see a septuagenarian karate fighting teenagers outside of a Nike store.
The last congressman, I think, almost won after like coming out of jail.
Yeah. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forget what the charge was, but like my favorite part about that is where he
Hit
got
somebody
caught.
with a car? Was it vehicular
He got
homicide?
caught on camera. This wasn't what he went to jail for, but he
Right.
got caught on camera with like Verizon's version of News 12 of like threatening to throw the reporter over the fucking balcony.
Yes. Boy.
That tracks
And that
to Staten
guy
Island.
almost
Yes.
won.
And he almost won.
I mean, so you do leave the island almost every day to come to work.
Yeah.
So how is that commute? Because you're coming into Brooklyn, you're on Staten Island, driving, as we found out, and parking sucks. So you try to, I guess, limit that and really as much as you can.
Yeah.
What's your commute like? How's that working? And how does that work with the scheduling, everything that goes on with the brewing?
So the scheduling, one of the reasons I took the job with Circa is because I make my own schedule.
Nice.
So I don't have to be there at 5 a.m. I don't have to like get up the ass crack of dawn or anything like that. Like my brew days are about 6 hours. So as long as I'm in and working by 9 o'clock, like super good. But you know, like I try to take public transit as much as I can. We do have a fairly reliable transit system. And so
Is there a subway? There's a subway, right?
Well, no, there's just the Staten Island Railroad.
Just the railroad. Okay.
Yeah, and that only goes.
And it goes
to, like,
north.
Yeah, it just goes like right along the edge of the island.
Yeah.
But the buses usually run pretty well. You
Okay.
catch a bus and it's an hour into the city. You know.
Oh, that's not too bad. All right.
Yeah, and the ferry is super relaxing most of the time. Like that's the.
I think that's what I would take. I just like the idea of the ferry, and you get to see the Manhattan every day, and just kind of just pull right in and step right off.
Yeah, it's like just headphones in, especially in the summertime, sitting outside, just like out, nice breeze in the morning. Like it's a nice way to like have your first coffee and kind of slide into the day. The trip home is a different story, but that's what beers are for.
Yeah. Coffee on the way in, beers on the way out.
Yeah. I didn't really understand the brown bag until I rode that ferry for about a month, and I was like, "Yep, this is what we're doing."
So obviously we were talking at the brewery about Pete Davidson, Colin Jost buying one of those Staten Island ferries, going to convert it into a comedy club, a floating comedy club, and a venue apparently, which would be crazy. But
I caught the Weekend Update fucking bit about it.
did you? I didn't even see it. I got to watch
Funny.
it.
The guy who just bought a boat.
Yeah. Oh, and what they did that? He does all those double entendre things. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But I don't know. I mean, it's for me, Staten Island Ferry. I think of a few things. I think of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
right. I
that's
think of Spider-Man,
sure.
the original Spider-Man: Homecoming. And one other. What was the other thing I was thinking?
Batman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They were in Dark Knight, right? That was Staten Island Ferry.
That's right.
Yeah.
They were on the but you didn't really see the orangey thing. It was. You knew that was.
Oh, that's right, because it's not Staten Island.
Right,
No,
it's
fucking
Gotham.
Gotham
And
Ferry.
He threw the thing out the window, but you're right. It was
Ferry.
on the ferry. You're right, and there were three of them leaving the island trying to get off. And yeah, I remember that. Was that Bane or was that Joker? That was Joker.
Joker.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's things like that come to mind, but it really is a pleasant ride. I've taken it. It's really nice, and it goes either to Long Island, Brooklyn area, right? Or
So
lets
it
off
goes.
in-
It drops off right in southern and south, in like
Battery Park.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah. Then you got Manhattan too, right? It was just Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's just Manhattan.
Just
Yeah,
Manhattan.
yeah.
Just Manhattan.
So
You
then
gotta
you
get
have
one
to
of the-
take.
You gotta get one of the little weird white ones that cost money if you want to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
You have to take. I think it's like on like the AC line. It's like the last stop. And,
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
It's
you get
got the
off.
AC and the one.
There's
and
one
the
going
end of the
to
yard.
Rockaway too. One of those small
No,
ones.
I think it's just that one.
no,
it's
not the big one. The small, like the white ones.
Oh,
like
I don't
the
know.
individual
I don't
ones.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's one that goes to
Yeah.
Rockaways too, right? Because
Because
I think we talked about it at that show we were at the Rockaways, saying there's a lot of
Oh, maybe.
like Manhattan and Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. They all come in, and that way the Rockaways is like the summer getaway for a lot of people in the boroughs. I don't know. I remember that coming up at one point, but I mean, it's a small subway train ride around.
2 stops and
Oh, so
at
it's
work.
nothing All
at the
right,
front
good.
door. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So give us a little breakdown about the brewery. I mean, you joined when?
I started in August of 20.
So mid-COVID, we'll say at this point, if we want to. Well, actually, early COVID, because
Yeah.
of 22, but really kind of in the middle of everything. And you stepped into what? Like, what was the situation going on there? And
So-
what was the first thing that you had to take care of? What was that first task?
The first thing I had to take care of was figuring out what to do with all the beer we had in stock that like what we were going to do with it, because it had been sitting there a lot of it had been sitting there unused, untouched for however many months. And so it was like, okay, what's still good? Like what can we salvage? What can we sell? What am I comfortable putting my name on? Like, and then it was figuring out how to run the brew house. And
was there enough there though that you could sustain getting that out the door and then getting your stuff going?
Yeah, initially, like, brewing was a little slow, like, to get started.
Yeah.
Because we were sitting on so much stock, but once we got it out of there, it was just like immediately just go. Like,
and you were familiar with the system there, right? It wasn't like it was a foreign kind of animal.
I mean, familiar with the system in as much as it is a semi-automated brew system.
Okay.
It's got buttons and a screen.
All right, so it's there,
but
but you knew how to use it. I mean, it
yeah,
wasn't like you had to like really research up on it or anything.
No,
like
it
that.
wasn't completely alien.
Right,
There
yeah.
was just some like eccentricities that I had to figure out, and
Subtleties.
yeah,
Little
like
things
any brew system.
So run it down. What's the brew system like there?
So it's a 7-barrel ABE system, 2-vessel system with a combined mash lauter tun and a boil whirlpool.
Yeah.
Couple motors, couple automated valves, couple this, couple that.
Right.
It's a brew house.
Yeah, it's a fucking brew house. It's gonna brew beer. It's gonna be a haircut. They're gonna fucking cut your hair.
Does what it says on the tin.
It does. But I mean, any additions since you've been there that you've made?
I've fixed several faulty valves. Put in place standard operating procedures, quality control testing.
Yeah.
Standardization of grains and what we use, building relationships with suppliers.
And those are big parts of the process. You
Yeah.
can't go without
Okay.
that for sure.
So how are you getting rid of your grain?
It goes out in our dumpsters.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
City just takes it.
Fuck those cows.
So we don't have
they don't
we don't
have-
have municipal trash because we're a restaurant. So we have to like
Oh, it's private.
Carting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we use
The guys with
From Staten
badges
Island,
from
you know,
Staten
hey.
Island.
Yeah.
Little
Goes right back to your backyard.
a little bit of a plug for the people at Cogent Waste Solutions.
Hey, there you go.
Do a better job.
Maybe we can get Rosie's Draft Solutions to up their game over there and get their what do you call it? The business model up and running a little better. Apparently, that's not up to par. Oh, I almost knocked that water bottle over. That would have been a mess. We're trying to figure out the physics system. It's not sucking in air again. I don't know. Like I said, the cork part up here, the rubber stopper, sometimes gets a little dislodged. You got to kind of reach your hand up a cow's ass
That
here. And
doesn't look good at all.
you got to go elbow deep
And now,
into it sometimes.
meanwhile, I'm going to drink out of this thing. Okay, great.
I didn't even touch the spigot. I was all the way up in the top.
Great.
I wash my hands, especially after I poo. This was a number of things that had to fall into place. What were they doing there prior to you coming in that kind of triggered them finding someone new, or was it just like...
From what I've been told, I've not really delved deeply into it, but there was just a less than amicable split between the previous brewer and management over
There was
COVID.
something going on
Yeah.
there that they just had to alleviate.
COVID-associated duties that were felt to be above or below or whatever, just things that happen. Like, it was a frustrating time for everybody. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But that's what brought me in, and they were looking for somebody with experience and half of a vision to kind of build the brand, and
So the majority of the beer that like we had tasted, that's your recipes?
yes, there's only one recipe that I kept. It's one of our legacy recipes, the Rotator IPA.
Yeah, I have it right here. We're going to try that next.
Yeah, that's I've tweaked it a little bit just to make it a little more efficient, make it a little more bring it into the modern just a little. I didn't want to change it too much because we have regulars that really enjoy it, so I wasn't
Sure.
going to
Now, did they hand that down to you? They said, well, here's the Rotator recipe because the other guy
Yeah.
left, and
Yeah.
I would figure someone would take it, but
Well,
always
and-
backups.
Yeah, the Rotator recipe was actually was one of their
bueno.
first beers that they made back in 2017.
Yeah.
Which several brewers ago at this point. Like,
Really? Okay, so it's gone through a bunch of
Yeah.
maybe iterations in this point,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
everyone's had their little hand in it, little tweak here and there.
yeah,
right?
everybody puts their own little thing on
Yeah,
it.
that's cool.
And so everything else that's there is my recipe. It's been, a push to get everything where it needs to be. still going through a couple of different little tweaks here and there. But
On the rotator or just in general?
in general,
Yeah.
because if you can always make it, I don't necessarily believe that a beer is ever going to be perfect,
Right.
just because it is a living product, and we can only do our best to control the process, and I do everything in my power to control those little sons of bitches to make them do what I want.
But they're still human. It's still a living organism.
Yeah,
There's going to be variables.
So like as long as you're always at least 0.1% better than the last batch, as you're always improving, whether you improved your brew house efficiency a little bit, or you improved like your brew day a little bit, or something was just a little bit more efficient, or something just you have a new aroma that really pops in an old beer that you're really into. Like as long as you're always keeping it fresh, more or less, then that keeps like, for me at least, it keeps me engaged in the brewing process, because I'm always looking for like, oh, what's different, what's new, like, and that's what keeps it like from being boring.
Yeah,
Like you said, back when you were in the bigger facilities where it was just the same thing every single day, day in, day out, week after week after week. Yeah, you lose the passion for that beer.
Yeah. If I don't ever brew another barrel of porter again, it will be
quite
absolutely
happy.
fine with me.
And by the way, this Impaler, the color on this thing is, I mean,
Boom.
it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Gold dark Marzen in color, but tastes obviously nothing like that. Red IPA.
Don't get
A little
fooled.
bit, little bit of crystal malt, a little bit of roasted barley.
I want to get into those as we drink them along, but I want to just finish up the narrative. So you've been there since 2020. What has been some of the big things that have changed? And obviously we talked about you have a restaurant attached.
Yeah,
you
that
guys have
was-
full service food. And you just got a new chef about 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So our new chef is really taking us in a really fun direction. We're doing kind of classic pub food. Some of it, there's a lot of Mediterranean twists towards things.
Okay.
Because our owner is really is really interested in those Mediterranean flavors. So we're doing a little bit of that, and then he's got a really ambitious like dinner menu coming out. That I don't remember anything that's on it, because I'm a bad person.
So now, are you guys a brew pub though? Or
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the licensing you have?
Yes,
You
yep.
have because Steve was asking that, but after you left, he was like, I didn't ask, but I'm interested.
Yeah, there's only one brewery on Long Island that actually has a kitchen attached at the moment. So that was
Peconic.
Yeah. And that's interesting because that's not the standard norm. Even in Brooklyn, there's a couple maybe. We know like Killsborough and Staten Island has one.
Yeah, so we have the licensure is kind of limiting from production.
Right, you're limited to the number of
standpoint.
barrels you can put out?
We're limited to the number of barrels we can put out. We're limited to the number of barrels we can distribute.
Yeah. What is it? 15%? 12%?
So we can self-distribute 500 barrels ourselves, and this is for beer going out of the building.
Right.
And then the limit is 2,000. The other 1,500 have to go through a distributor. We can sell as much as we can make over the counter.
Right.
So beer in house, canning to go, stuff like that.
So if you
Yes.
want to sell to a home D, you're limited to 500 barrels.
Yeah, which
Okay.
if we're selling 500 barrels
To Home D, yeah.
out the door,
That's good.
we got problems in the brew house. 'Cause our capacity is about 1,100 barrels a year.
Okay.
This past, even in 2021, go back in 2020, we did about 320 barrels of production. And then
that's it?
in 2022 or 2021, we did 585 barrels.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping.
And that's balls to the wall every day.
Well, it's actually a fairly relaxed schedule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we had
But it was enough for the brew house. It was enough for what
Yeah,
you guys had going
yeah.
on there, yeah.
I mean, that's what we were right around there.
Oh, really?
3 to
Okay.
400 barrels a year.
I'm just maybe underestimating what that
we
is.
were only
but yeah.
brewing a couple days a week.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Yeah, and I'm really pushing. We're working on getting distribution set up this year.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah,
hoping we
I
hit,
had
like,
mentioned it to you.
750
I
this
said,
year.
so are you thinking about that? Because, like I said, we try to find out breweries that are not the biggest names on the block because we want to hear those stories. But it's an interesting thing. Like everyone's trying to get cans into stores. I'm not sure if that's the right thing, but at least get the brand recognition out there to attract them into you, to get them at the place, have a meal like we did, have some beers and basically sell right out of the place.
Exactly. That's like, I think, now it's not, I don't have a stake in the business other than like, I'm there to make the beer and all that beer's got my name on it. Like, so I do have some skin in the game. So I'm not necessarily speaking for my boss or anything like that, but I think the best thing for us to do, just because the taproom model makes, we have such a better margin on our product.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And we have better control on the quality. Yep. And so we'll put out,
something's not sitting on the shelf for 3 months.
yeah, and I know it's being stored refrigerated,
Right.
or at least not hot.
There's nothing better when you go into a distributorship and your product is sitting under the heater and it's just blowing on it all day long. There's nothing better than that feeling.
Make sure it's the Kentucky bourbon, the barrel.
Or a nice fruited sour.
Yeah, you just see that top distend just a little bit. That's a mark of quality.
Yeah, when you squeeze it, it's like a rock. It's that's nice.
Perfect. That's the way I want it, and it explodes on you when you get home. Russian Imperial Stout all over your eyelids.
Just blueberry sour all over the truck of your car.
There you go.
You know,
420.
What?
450. 450
Wait,
north. That's what I meant. 420.
Find somewhere else, Mike.
I know. I'm thinking of a totally different brewery that doesn't exist.
This guy,
yet.
well, he's thinking 420. He's looking down there.
No, I'm not.
He's looking down the
We
pipe.
know.
And what?
We know.
The fact that the brewery itself has the food, has the beer, has everything to it, should itself make its name and network and go out, right? So at that point, what would be the first line of distribution? Would it just be local distribution in some stores close, or are you looking to go with like we said, a distributor or something like that?
yeah. So, like we have a thing set up with somebody right now that we're moving forward with, but we're like, I don't have grand ambitions. I know that's probably would hurt my ownership part because they really want to like get us out there. But I think we could do just fine just selling in the boroughs and maybe doing some by mail distribution if that stuff all gets passed through. Like
I thought it was now. I thought it was still good because I see people selling.
Well, they're still working on USPS.
Oh, okay.
So that's a whole thing, and then it's like some TTV stuff that we'd have to go through.
Gotcha.
But other than that, like I just want to sell in the boroughs and like sell to some good beer bars and good
Because
beer stores.
the place itself is going to sustain just with the local crowd, and you got a nice area to be in.
After we left, they took a shot and they had posted, hey, come down, the games are on.
Yeah.
And it was a nice, really nice crowd in there.
Yeah, people were
after we
filing
left.
in as we were there. It was good. I mean, and the food itself,
The food
delicious.
was really good.
I mean, I had the chicken and waffles. I was craving like a nice piece of fried chicken, perfectly fried. It was excellent. And just the menu itself. You had brunch going on. It was a Sunday, so that's a new concept for you, obviously.
We've been so they'd been doing brunch for a long time, and then with COVID, we got rid of it. Like we just got rid of everything.
Oh, so you were saying we bring it back to
so,
with
like-
the new chef and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
What's also good too is, I mean, I look at a place. One, the interior is inviting. That's one, and then you always. I know there's always that one person that's in your group when you go to hang out that doesn't want to drink beer, but you guys have a fully stocked bar.
Yep.
And along with the brunch, you guys are doing the mimosas, you're doing bellinis, and I mean that's kind of like a home run right there.
Yeah, and we have a really great bar staff, really great bar manager. They we're pushing to come up with some like a nice cocktail program to go along with everything as well.
Sure.
And then we have this idea that we've been bandying around of doing like a beer and whiskey pairing. So
nice.
because we do have a very like fairly extensive whiskey selection.
I was perusing your whiskey selection as we were walking by, and I was looking at a couple of the Japanese whiskeys, and I'm like, yeah, that bottle right there is like $350 right there.
Yeah, no, those Japanese whiskeys go really nicely with the lagers that we've been making because they're both just like neither one is overwhelmingly flavored, and the flavors complement each other really nicely. And so, like building something like that, we'll double down on that market. We'll get people to buy the whiskey and they buy the beer at the same time.
Sure.
And like,
Bingo.
it's
something that not a lot of places are doing too.
yeah, exactly. It's building an experience, which is like
That's how you get people coming back.
Yeah, that's how you're gonna get people coming
And the
back.
shuffleboard, which I went to the bathroom. I went,
Yeah,
they got
and
fucking shuffleboard.
Yeah, that's.
I love shuffleboard. It's so much fun.
We're finally allowed to use it again after all.
yeah,
you know.
Because you're touching all the
Yeah,
touching that
all the
goes
touching.
on.
You
Aren't
can't-
you supposed to play with friends and you're going to be in the same taxi in the same apartment later anyway?
It's the sawdust that
That's
it
what it
harbors
is.
the coronavirus.
We all know this.
Well, if you just neti pot your urine, it'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Everything
Well,
will
you
be
got to boil
great.
it down, though. We
I know,
talked
yeah.
about
we
Gotta
talked about
reduce
that.
it.
Yeah,
You
we
gotta
gotta
reduce it.
I want to say goodbye to Instagram for a little bit. We got some a little segment coming up, but before we do, I'm gonna say goodbye to CG3303. We got Chris Mapar. We got Barley Boy, Emma J, Tap That AZ podcast. That's our brothers in arms over at the Hopped Up Network from Arizona, and Lucky Hair Brewing checking in. Guys, go over to Facebook and YouTube. We are live there on the Governor's Comedy podcast or station channel thing. All right, we'll see you in a bit. We're gonna have a little segment, Mike, that we do with our own one, Steve Pominski, and I just want to save this so it goes up on the thing.
On the thing.
And
that's a technical term, by the way.
Yeah, I use that as
On the
a
thing.
complete, professional engineer of things, and that way we can stall for time.
His students are like,
As I set it
oh,
up.
yeah, that's right.
Oh, the thing.
Mr. O'Toole said the thing,
Engineer
and that's
things.
I have it. So,
He knows about the thing.
you know.
Let's get into a little bit of a segment here. Let's take a quick break as we pause for Steve's questions.
Hey, you cool hep cats. Tonight, we bring you a very special presentation. 3 questions with our very own Steve Pominski. Yeah. Steve's questions. 3 questions from Steve. 3 questions. Steve's questions. Go.
Scooty-bop.
Every single time. Got to do it every time.
You got a little thing. So, Steven, take it away.
All right. So, 3 questions. I ask every brewer, every owner that comes in. We'll do them one at a time because usually, if I say them all 3, we all forget. And we go off on a tangent. But, first off, what was that beer that turned you on to craft beer where you said, whoa, what's going on here? This is not Miller Lite. This is not, Red Dog. What is this?
Red Wolf. I loved Red Wolf.
Red Wolf.
Oh,
Magic Hat's Circus Boy Hefeweizen.
Oh,
Circus Boy. Love that one.
Yeah,
Very nice.
That
you
was
don't
like-
see that anymore.
No.
Well,
gone.
Magic Hat's.
Yep. Yeah.
They shouldn't be, though.
I know.
I mean, 9 itself should just stand up on its own. They should be able to make money just with 9.
But the sad part was when it was independently owned, that's when they were making the good stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
That's when, yes, the Circus Boy,
Black
the
Cat.
Hefeweizen was great. Obviously, Magic Hat number 9 was like,
Snow Roller. Loved Snow Roller.
what was the, what the hell was the shit? I can't.
Black Cat, I did.
was Black Cat,
Yeah,
yeah.
Black Cat was awesome. They came, those variety packs I would eat up because it was something a little different each one.
Yeah.
But Circus Boy, classic.
That was like my first experience with
Classic.
like a yeast that wasn't lager yeast or American ale yeast. Like it was just like 19 drinking that, and it was just like, what is this?
And
Like,
it was-
how do we like?
It was so easy drinking, too.
And it went right down. It was not like super aggressive in
Yep.
either direction.
Yep.
Like you get some Hefeweizens that
Yeah.
taste like runts or like
Yes.
they get
Banana runts.
they get super phenolic and they just kind of burn.
Yep.
But like it was just that perfect like mix of a little bit of fruit, a little bit of spice, a really nice malt backbone, and then like just that extra texture from like the haze in it was just like, that was just something completely new to me at that point, and it was just like, okay, I gotta find more of this stuff.
Kind of like the haze in your Hefeweizen yesterday?
We
You were fighting that guy a little bit.
she was a little rowdy. When they're young, they're a little tough to handle.
They're a little rough.
Quick little drop kick, and next thing you know, boom, bam, boom, she's in there.
And then she's good. Question 2. What's your favorite style right now?
I am because of like what we're starting to brew and like what we're moving towards as a brewery, I am just deep in Czech beers, like Czech brewing tradition.
Ooh, nice.
So I've been drinking a lot of like side pour pilsners, and moving into some of like the darker Czech stuff. There's a who makes it? Can't remember off the top of my head. But there's this like dark Czech lager that I found at the beer store.
Bavik?
Yes.
Bingo.
That like
Yeah, isn't it? They sell it at Stu Leonard's.
I've had it
They have it. It's good.
several places.
My buddy Eric talks about that all the time. He goes, sometimes I just want a couple of cheap beers. They're in what, like 22s, and he'll get like 4 for $4 or something like
Well,
that.
when I was at Total Wine yesterday, they had a bunch of them.
Yeah, and then like another one, Wild East down in Brooklyn. They have a 10 Plato Czech Pilsner, which is like it's like 3.8% alcohol. It's,
wow.
It's great for just like end of the day, like just to take the edge off and like just to kind of chill without being like, oh, I'm getting
Over the
hammered
top, yeah.
tonight. Like,
Yeah, I gotta get home somehow. Yeah,
yeah, but that's the kind of it's very lager based right now. Everything is like doing that research and like really getting into the tradition and trying to figure out how to put a little bit of a dumb American twist on all of it.
Now, as you had mentioned in this little segment, I know Pete was curious yesterday. You said a lot of people don't understand this term, side pour.
Yeah, so the side pour, it's a traditional Czech method of like beer dispense, and from everything I've read and like watched, the way they typically do it is there's very little carbonation in it. The really traditional ones are all gravity fed. Like they have the tanks right behind the bar. It runs down through, and then it's a very expensive special faucet that operates almost along the same lines as like a beer engine with a sparkler and everything. But the biggest difference is that instead of being just like the plunger pull like most of our taps are, it's actually a ball valve.
Yep.
So you get really, really tight control over how much liquid is coming out of that thing. And then in the neck of it, it has a really, really fine little screen that just turns that foam into just this dense, wet, really like delicious, almost savory kind of beer experience. And I find it super interesting. And I know like all the cool kids on Instagram are doing all the side pours and everything like that. And we're doing milk tubes, which is just a 10-ounce glass of wet foam, and you take it like a shot, and it's really like it brings out just such a different flavor experience in our Pilsner, that it gives it these like nutty and vanilla, and some little sweet malt notes that are just really fun as like an after dinner beverage, or just like something in the middle of the day to like just be a little refreshing.
See, that's something I would want to fuck with people with. I would give that Pilsner just straight up, give them a taste, and then do the side pour and go, all right, and tell me what you perceive the difference. And you definitely know they're going to be like, that's a different beer. What the fuck would you just give me?
Well, yeah, and so we'll do a slow pour off that tap too, like a nice long 10-minute slow pour. And so while the customer's waiting, we give them like just carbonated Pilsner, and they're like, you're fucking with me. This isn't the same beer.
Yeah.
But it's
Simple as that. Just a simple process.
Yeah,
and
just
changes
a little
the whole
different
complexity.
treatment. Like it's
crazy.
It's amazing what just a little bit of a different process can do to a product. Like it's really cool, and I think
There were going to be 5 new breweries on Long Island with side pours.
Yeah, right.
I'm telling you, whoever's been listening, Manny, I know you guys are first. I know.
All right, guys, side pour. Talk to me. What do
Talk
we
to
got?
me, baby.
you pour a lot of bad ones before you start figuring out how to get a good one. Sure.
Yeah.
And like it goes totally against everything in me as like a brewer, but you just dunk that fucking neck right into the bottom of that beer and it just pour it right through. And like if you don't, it's completely wrong. But it's fantastic.
Totally different flavor profile. Crazy.
Nice. And our third question, you go to a restaurant, go into a bar. What's that one beer you're looking for other than the ones that you brew? Could be anything. What's that one beer you want to find you're getting it?
I mean, that's a hard question.
Yes, it is.
Because it just depends on where I'm like. It depends on where I'm going. Like if I'm out at like a Chili's or a Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that, my expectations are so goddamn low.
Sir, would you like this Cantillon?
Indeed.
It's
Do you have Sierra Nevada on a clean line, perhaps?
and Rosie's Draft
Rosie's
Solution
Draft
will take care of that.
Servicing bars, restaurants.
Even Chili's and Dubs.
Well, I hope they do service Miller's Ale House as well. Got the same kind of tap lineup, right?
Yep.
But that's the thing. Like, if I go to those, you're right, expectations are low before you say what you're going to get. But there is always something there that I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that. So what would be that one thing that would really kind of like, all right, I guess I could do that.
All right, if I'm going bigger guy that I can always like go to, that's either going to be a Sierra Pale or a Sierra Torpedo.
Oh, I like Torpedo, yeah.
There's
Celebration, too, in season.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
There's nothing better than like a fresh, like that fresh Torpedo is just so on point every time. But if I'm going to like if I'm going to like someplace that sells itself as a craft beer bar, or as like a restaurant that has like a nice selection,
Barcade. Go to Barcade.
Yes. I'm gonna always pick something local. Like,
Okay.
as long as it's local, I don't care what it is. I want to know that like you're treating your local products as well as.
See, I was
you do
thinking more along the lines
everything
of Blind Tiger or
Not anymore.
or Haymaker.
Wait, Blind Tiger I thought was not there anymore.
No, it's
It's still there? Okay, good.
Ginger Man.
No,
is
I know
gone.
Ginger Man's
Ginger Man's gone. A lot of like, I think Proletariat's still there.
I haven't been there in years.
The Cannibal's gone. That place used to be great. Yeah.
So many places are. Oh, wait, was it Dragon? Well, I'm thinking like something Dragon was gone. Not Red Dragon. Red Dragon. No, there was something in the city that I was like, oh, I've been there, and it had a great tap list, and then it was gone.
Dragon.
Kind of remind me a little bit of the Good Life. That there was that feel and style of bar in the city. I'll remember it later. I promise. If I think of it, I'll post it on Instagram and send pictures.
Yeah, if I'm going to Blind Tiger, which I have been to recently, it's very very fancy. That's when I'll reach for something traditionally Belgian or something.
Yay! There you go.
That's because I know that their buyers aren't gonna be, they're not gonna put shit on those lines. And I know that everything's been taken care of and everything is like as the brewer intended.
Yeah. There's a number of things. A number of breweries by you. So to give people reference, you're in what's the area? What area?
So technically, we're in downtown Brooklyn.
It is downtown, right? In the city of Brooklyn.
Yeah. So we're right off of Fulton Mall, right by like all the courthouses and NYU campus that's in Brooklyn. We're right there. The closest breweries to us are like Strong Rope in Gowanus, and then same down there. Wild East is right down there.
So Barclays Center area.
Yeah.
Walking distance, couple like 20-minute.
Randolph is right near you guys.
Yeah, they're a little north of us. Yeah.
So anyone that's visiting, that's I'm trying to get the reference of the area for them so they can come in and go, okay, well, I'm going to Barclays in the Barclay area in the afternoon, got a game at night, going to do a brewery tour. Put it on the list for sure.
Yeah.
You've kind of already gave us a little insight into the beer here. Let's backtrack a little bit. We started with the Amber Lager tonight, which delicious. I had it at the brewery right off the tap.
Suspect.
Awesome. It was here tonight. Enjoyed it yet again. Break us down a little bit of what the Amber Lager was. Obviously, talking a lot about lagers tonight.
Yeah.
And kind of what you want to do. Why did we go red? Why was that the concept?
So the Suspect device is it started out last year as our Oktoberfest.
Okay.
Which we've since changed our Oktoberfest beer. The Oktoberfest is much different, but the Suspect device, it's looking for new flavors in a lager that people might not be familiar with, because we don't get the biggest amber lager everybody knows is Yingling, and Yingling just tastes like Yingling, and I think there's a new avenue to explore with that. So really like using really nice specialty malts, and not like I am very partial to proximity malting. I think they put out
we saw them all
saw
over
the
bags.
bags.
They were everywhere.
Bags as doorstops.
yes. They put out a really consistent product. It's
Where are they from?
so they started in Delaware.
Okay.
And I now have a place. They have a place in Delaware, Colorado, and I want to say Michigan.
Okay. So
but I
they've been
could be wrong on the
expanding
Michigan
since they started.
Yeah. But everything, it's all like, it's American grown. It has, it's got a little bit less of a carbon footprint because it's not shipping across the ocean and in a tanker or like on a line or anything like that. It's like, it gets to me when the shipping works in 2 days. And it's a really consistent and flavorful product.
Yeah.
And they work really well with their customers. Like, they always want our feedback and like, what can we do to improve? What do you like about this? What do you not like about this? Like, and they're continuing to just innovate with what they're doing. So that's like why I really like working with them. And it's only been a couple of years that they've been doing like specialty roasts and stuff like that. And I think they will stand up against, for my money, any of the old European guys.
And I was just going to ask, how is the cost per pound compared to like someone like Breeze or anything like that, or and how is the sustainability? Is it readily available for you?
Yes, they're always like, they've had some supply chain issues on a few different things, which like totally understandable. Is with the conditions right now and like all the like fires and everything that have been going on, like, so sourcing can be.
Yeah, that's tough. I just saw it. It's Big Sur right now. It's burning right around the Big Sur area in California. That's gotta
When
suck.
isn't California on fire?
That's a good point. I love California, but man, that's got to be a tough place to just kind of.
There's no more fire season.
Sidestep
just
fires all
The
day.
fucking state's on fire.
Just what percentage?
Yeah. 0.02 today. Okay, good.
But yeah, everything is really available. The things they've been having trouble getting are the things they get from other people, like rice hulls and flaked oats and stuff like that.
Because those are really, hard to get.
Yeah, I could just run down to the bodega and get some Quaker, but I'm going to have to buy out the whole store. But yeah, no, their products are great, and I think I really like how they treat their specialty malts, especially. So the Suspect is base. It's made with Munich 10 and Vienna malts are the base. There is a little bit of Crystal 15 in there, a little bit of Crystal 60, a bunch of Carafoam. Because you got to have that nice fluffy head. And then I want to say there's a little bit of dark malt in there, but I could be lying about that.
Just to give it that little
just
deepen the color a little bit more.
Just to give it those little highlights. And a little bit, and just a touch of like chocolate on the very back end when it warms up a little bit. And that's like, it's.
Here's a question for you, because I've always had this, and I don't think I've ever asked this. Difference between crystal malts. Obviously, it's all crystal malt. What is the big major difference, I guess, chemically or taste wise for anyone that's questioning? All right, Crystal 15 as opposed to a 30 or a 60. I mean, is it something that people can really tell if you change it out, swap it out?
Yeah. If you're like, I do take pride in like knowing my ingredients because I'm not a smart man. So if I know like what my things taste like, I can kind of put them together because I'm not a math guy. So the way that crystal malts are made, it's just like accentuating a Maillard reaction, which is just caramelizing. And there's like what they do to make the crystals are they're stewed at I think like 150, 155 degrees. And depending on the amount of water and the amount of time, you'll get your different crystal colors. And each further step of caramelization gets you different like sugar flavors. So like your lighter ones are going to be they're going to be like toasted sweetbread or like maybe like a 15. I often compare a note. I get a note of like King's Hawaiian rolls off of it.
Okay.
And then as you start to move up, it gets more intense. You get into like caramel candies or like Werther's Originals without the butter, or you get like, and then as you start getting darker and darker, you get molasses and treacle and stone fruits and candied fruits and stuff like that. And those are the flavors that you build on further up the line. But you can also overuse them, and a lot of places just don't use them deftly. They just like throw them in there and be like, it's color. And it's like, well, yes, but no, but yes, but and you can always tell a beer that has way too much crystal malt in it because it tastes like cheap candy. Then you throw you typically with like old school IPAs, you get a bunch of crystal malt in there and then hops on top of it, and it gets when they get kind of syrupy and unbalanced.
You can't like unbalance it out with just more water or more like, I guess.
Too much crystal malt is too much. That's a base recipe.
Once
issue.
it's in,
Yeah.
it's in.
Yeah. Oh boy. I mean, it's something like I never even considered when he was, rattling off the numbers. I'm like, I don't think I ever thought about what those numbers represent. I guess, like you said, it matters about a little taste and time, really, and what that kind of adds to the beer.
Yeah.
And as you went through that and coming up with this recipe, was it something that you brought from previous experience, or was it something you created new for here?
I mean, that is a 100% new beer.
Nice. All right,
for
good.
Circa. Just something that I'd wanted to do for a while because I was not satisfied with the available like mid-colored lagers out there. Like I think there's just so much unexplored lager territory, and I think it just lends itself more to explorations in malt and gentle use of hops rather than just like
Massage them in.
yeah, you just kind of rub it into the tank. Like
The tap taparoo.
Yeah, a little tappity tappity. So then that compared to the red IPA that we drank next out of the crowler, definitely there's some things that are a little similar in regards to the maltiness, but then that hop profile. Talk to me about that.
So the Impaler is just a big ignorant beer from like the mid-teens of like when everybody was trying to keep IPA fresh by making it different colors, and it's kind of just remembering the things that I'd had that like, okay, so we'll put a little bit of crystal malt in this, put a little bit of roast malt in it for color and a little bit of flavor, give it a really nice malt backbone to have American hops like really stand up to. It's got Centennial and Citra in there, and it's just 2 hops. That's it. Really simple. Gives it a nice bit of earthiness, and like Centennial is the OG juicy hop before like we had all these fancy new
Mosaic,
ones.
Galaxy, and Citra. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just playing off of those two, like one super popular, well-known hop, and then one that's kind of lost its shine, but Bell's Two Hearted is still the #1 selling IPA in the country, so I don't understand.
And they
that.
still use it, so there's something
Yeah.
there. I mean, I remember when I first, brewed my first beer, the first packet, I was talking to these guys at the brewery, the first packet of hops I got from Kedco was a vacuum sealed pack of Centennial, Cascade, and Mount Hood. Those are my 3 hops, and I always go, well, where the hell did those hops go? They're still around.
Yeah, they still.
But they blend them into other things now that are a little more sexy. Citra's a great one to pair it with because it does pair well. But the base was always very malty. What are you gonna say?
But no, the thing too is, like Mike was saying, when you make things unbalanced, you have these brewers that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to put all this Centennial, and meanwhile the body of the beer is not right.
Yeah.
Now you have a bad tasting beer, and they're like, well, that's Centennial, and they don't use it anymore.
Exactly.
We did a beer that was Old Columbus.
Nah. Okay.
It was a pale ale with just Old Columbus, and it was a huge seller for us. People loved it. And they're like, oh, what do you got in there? Citra and Mosaic, Columbus. And what else? Columbus. It's how
not
you
sexy enough.
It's how you
It's
use
not,
it,
but it tastes great.
and yeah,
And use wise, like you said, if you use it in the correct amounts in the right way with the right base, you can create some really good beer. And obviously, you're striving for all of that going through these. So then we cracked open. Do we have anything else in between? No, right? So then we cracked open the Rotator, which is your flagship.
Yeah.
Break this down. West Coast IPA. I'm a big West Coast guy. Delicious. Love it. Give me a little
I'm
breakdown.
not a
of
big
this.
West Coast guy, and I think it's fucking delicious.
Yeah,
Appreciate
he
that.
really, and I said that to him at the brewery. I said, Pete's not going to go with the Rotator.
I like that a lot. That might be my favorite. Which,
West Coast?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, there you go. See? We're turning Pete slowly. I love it. Give me the breakdown of the Rotator.
Yeah, so the Rotator, the malt bill is super simple. It's just 2-row base malt and wheat, and I think that's it. Yeah.
You weren't kidding with super simple.
Yeah, if I would have known there's going to be this much questions, I would have brought my brew book.
My notebook.
Then it gets really complicated in the hopping and the mashing schedule. I mash it. I do 3 mash steps on that one.
Okay. But it's all about time, right? It's all about hitting those
It's all
temperature marks and getting in at the right
Yep,
time.
yep.
Yeah.
So do a little bit of extended mash as well. Really, I want to build the body on this and give it some chew to stand up to the amount of hop matter that goes into this thing. Because the last thing you want is like a flabby IPA, and you get that stretch of time where we all had session IPAs that tasted like water that had been run through an empty hop mat. Like,
Or an old garden hose. Thanks for the IPA, guys.
but yeah, it's got Chinook, Citra,
Another one.
Chinook. That's that really nice, like, rigid, earthy bitterness that's there.
Yep.
But it just bitters so cleanly that, like, that's what it's really there for. It's just like to
that
give you that
edge.
hop, that American hop character is Chinook, in my opinion. Like, and then there's some Ariana in there, one of the weird German hops.
Okay.
I think.
What are the percentages? Is it like mostly the Chinook, or is it a little more of...
So hot side, it's Chinook and Cascade.
Okay.
With a big dose of Citra in the Whirlpool.
Okay.
And then cold side, it is Cascade and Ariana, and there's 2 dry hops in that one.
Okay.
We do a 24-hour, like, early biotransformation dry hop, and then terminal dry hop.
You give yourself not enough credit in a lot of the information and science that you're saying. Big brewery words.
That people much smarter than me figured out. I'm just repeating it.
Right, but at least you know it. You know what it means. You're using it in the right form, which means you know what you're doing, which is great. And we know what you're doing because we've tasted it, and it's delicious. What else right now is on the board? We saw that you put a triple IPA up there.
I got to get to this one.
I know.
You know what I'm going to talk about.
What? Do I?
All right. So the only beer I drank yesterday.
Oh, the steam beer. Oh,
was
yes.
the steam beer.
right.
Yes.
All right. So we all know the big one, Anchor Steam, and it was the process. They came up with the process. They patented the process of making a steam beer. What are you guys doing to make this a steam beer?
So I am a history nerd, and so I like to delve into the history of certain beers. And steam beer is one of the first truly traditional American beers.
Yeah.
Brewed on the West Coast by German immigrants who didn't have the same things that they had back home to do the lagering process. So they made do with what they had. So they had their lager yeast that they brought with them, and they just didn't have the temperature control. So it was just too warm. So what they did, and Fritz did a lot of good things for the brewing industry, but patenting that process was a dick move. Because you can't patent a fermentation schedule.
Yeah.
And it's taking your lager yeast. We use 3470, the really workhorse lager yeast, and we ferment that bad boy at 60 degrees.
Okay.
And we keep it really tight. We keep a good tight control on, like, how much diacetyl it's producing at that temperature, because I cannot stand buttery beers.
No one wants the oiliness.
No, and it's just not good when you get a glass of beer in your hand that's not like a Scottish wee heavy or like some Northern English brown ale that has any hint of butter in it. It's just so
Einstock.
off-putting. And then we
those
did
guys.
that, and we just hopped the shit out of it with New York Cascade hops. Like,
There you go.
we're going to tweak that recipe a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not totally happy with it. But that's because it was a first go around.
Sure.
What was the
I was
process?
just so interested. As soon as I saw it, like I was looking at all these other beers, and I saw, steam beer.
What was the process?
Never had anybody ever, anywhere, I mean, any brewery.
We've never seen it.
Other than Anchor Steam,
Yeah.
Never seen
And
it.
I was like, all right, I'm interested. I got to get this.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, that's kind of what I feel sets us apart from other breweries, is that we're just doing stuff that, it's not sexy. It doesn't sell. I mean, it sells over our bar, but, like, how are you gonna go convince a distributor to sell a steam beer? I mean, look at you like you're fucking crazy. So it's like being able to take those risks, like, that's what being a brew pub really, like, gives me the opportunity to do.
Talk to me about that triple. I'm just so interested.
So triple.
All right,
I
Michael.
should
the
have had it
triple.
at the brewery, and then I
triple.
fucking didn't even do it. I was like, it's a lot because I got to drive home, and I'm like,
Yeah,
Should've done it.
She's a big lady.
Yeah.
10.5%. The malt bill again, super simple. Just a ton of base malt, some flaked oats, a lot of cane sugar, to really bump that ABV up.
yeah.
And then it's packed with. So Hopsteiner is starting to make these blends of hops, and it's their proprietary blend that they call Trident. And so it's almost exclusively hopped with that on both hot side and cold side. There's some Michigan Copper mixed in as well for like some really nice like sweet candy notes that hop really brings out, especially when you dry hop with it early.
Are you trying to cut the heat of a 10%er?
So we don't get a lot of heat in our big beers because we really control our fermentations.
Yeah.
As long as we don't let them run too wild and we keep them nice and slow, we don't tend to get a lot of that heat. Granted, early on it was there. That beer's about a month old now, and like, when we moved it into the brights, we were like, this is a little rough. And we let it sit for a couple of days, and we're like, oh, okay, there it is. There she is. And we did 3 dry hops. So it's a triple dry hop, triple IPA. You just hitting on all those things that like the kids love.
This one's for the kids.
Yeah, and it's hazy, and it's a big beer, and it's me being an asshole and just kind of thumbing my nose at the places who just make all these just big dumb beers they're not trying to advance beer or get craft beer into more people's hands. It's just about making that $24 for a 4-pack.
Yeah.
And like
On the value side, you mean $24 for a 4-pack?
Yeah, that's it. Good point. If I get that triple from you know who, I'm going to be paying $32 at the distributor. Everyone's got a little taste on that one.
yeah,
But that's you're right. I mean, it's one of those styles. Number one, you're going to be paying for any more for the ABV, right? So I get that. But at the back end, you really got to think about if I do that, how many people are actually going to buy it? How many people it's going to come over the counter? I'm sure that it's selling at the brew house or at the restaurant, but it's something that if you were to distribute it, it's a tough one to sell. I mean, people do buy them, but not like they do with just a pale, just like a single IPA or something like that. It's a tough one.
exactly. And with a style like that, we can't risk it sitting on somebody's shelf for 3 months. Because if it's going to sit that long, it's going to taste like dog shit when you get it. Like, so that's a thing that like I think the industry needs to really focus more on. Is not necessarily sending all these big beers out everywhere, but like sell them at your tap room so somebody's getting them fresh. They're not going to mule this thing across however many fucking state lines to sell it over the internet because some guy in Missouri really, really wants this beer that he's never going to try and he's never had before, but because somebody on the internet told him it was a big deal, like he wants it and he's going to pay an assload of money for it. Money that the brewery that made that is never going to see.
No.
Yep.
Like for their hard work, like
It's one thing if you got
Go ahead.
It's one thing if you got a guy. Like if you got a guy, I had a guy, and I'll say it because we talked about it last show. But I had Fidens, which is just exclusively can sales out of the back of the thing on certain days. They got like 2 or 3 releases. And I'm just interested. I'm not looking to get pallets or anything like that. But I'm interested in what are they doing? Because you see the pictures. There's some really hype to it, we'll say. Instead of being a hype brewery, it's a lot of hype to it. But I have a guy that went there himself, got it for me, and sent it to me. The brewery saw that money. The only money that anyone made was the shipping company to get it to me.
Yeah.
At that point, that made sense to me. But you're right. On the other end, for those guys that are trading on the internet and stuff like that, yeah, you're paying out, and no one's going to really see that. I get it that there's a cost of doing business in the end, right? There's a cost of the person's time and gas. You paying the shipping up front, but at the same time, like, was it worth it? Was it really worth that when you could look in your backyard and probably find something equally as good?
yes, and like who knows what condition that beer is going to be in when it gets to that final place.
Yeah.
Was it in a hot trunk for 2 days, and was it
Then it's on the back
jostled
of a UPS
around?
truck,
Yeah.
and like, it's just it does a disservice to that brewery.
I'll say this: I got the beer. I got like 2, 3, and 4 of variety, right? I got 8 beers total. And the first one I opened up was 2 days later. By the way, I got it 2 days after its canning date. So I got it real fresh. But you're right, the shipping and everything. I opened up the first one, and I'm like, I'm not... The second one of the same can was so much better. So there was something to the shipping that went into it that the day after it came versus 4 days after it came, it tasted better 4 days later than it did that first day I got it.
Well, see, that's the other thing is that people want beer fresh, like fresh in the can that day. There's actually a process called packaging shock that goes on.
I know we talk about it all the time. Yeah.
And so like that beer the first day,
nothing. Don't do it.
Just stop. You're just wasting your time. Like,
get it, put it in the fridge, relax.
Like our beers, like especially our hoppy beers, hit their like sweet spot 7 to 10 days after we've put them in the bright tank. Like, and we don't have a violent packaging process. I transfer all my stuff with just CO2 pressure. Like, I'm very gentle on it, but like going through like a big canning line, shit like that really just agitates the liquid, kind of breaks it down on a molecular level, and it has to come back together.
Right.
It's like that day after your vacation when you have that day off that like you need to like
I need that day. I can't go right back to work.
Yeah,
forget it. I'm going to kill
like that
somebody.
kind of thing.
That makes sense.
And it's crazy that just all of these kind of like, I feel that the internet and widespread literacy have been the worst things for human society, because now everybody has access to just say whatever they want. And there's no, when somebody says something on the internet about beer, especially, and I won't go into Untapped because that's just
bro, don't get me started.
that's just an endless hole.
We've had Yelp. We had people come on the show talk about Yelp and talk about Untapped, and this had too much flavor, and this had not enough, and this was way too much peanut butter. But meanwhile,
the best one we've ever got rated. Some guy came into the brewery, and it was like, I really don't like this beer. It has too much of a beer aftertaste.
yeah, because that was
The
a
appropriate reaction.
And
that face of
he was a professional
We
cicerone.
were all just like, what? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, our beer tasted like beer. Maybe you should drink some water, but that might taste like too much water for you.
He doesn't even respond like, "Oh, we'll make it good if you come down." You're like, "No, fuck you." If
Yeah,
you're
I just
if you're
went
gonna
right
say
after
beer flavored
this
beer,
asshole.
you're a dick.
And then I was like, after that, I was like, oh, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm not. I can't go on it. I can't look at it. I'm done.
Yeah, you can't trust anyone's opinion because you don't know what their expertise is. And yes, there are some really great people like who are on these apps and stuff like that who are genuinely trying to rate a beer or like hone their skills in tasting and like keep a log of that. But then there's also that asshole who's just like 1 star, not my style. And it's like, dog, why didn't you
Why don't
just
you
not
order it that? If you know you don't like a porter or you don't like a West Coast, then don't order it. What are you doing?
Like you're just trying to be a troll at that point.
Yes.
Because you don't get the attention you need at home, and maybe you should look inward, bud. Like,
Yeah. Maybe it's a little self-reflecting journey you need to go on to make things right again, and then you'll enjoy our beer again.
And that was the thing. Before Untapped came along, you actually had people that were, they were loyal to a brewery. Mm-hmm. They were loyal to a brand, and they would drink that same beer again and again because they were like, this goddamn beer is just so good. And then all of a sudden, wait, I could get a little badge if I drink 50 different beers?
oh, I remember the bad
Fuck
old
your
days
mother.
of-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're saying sorry for?
I'm sorry. It got me there.
No, but fuck them all.
I remember the bad old days of rate beer when you had to like
Yes.
have a sign in and shit.
Yes.
Like, and that's where you would
You
go
had to be
like,
held accountable.
I was going to actually
Yeah.
bring up rate beer. That was like somewhere you could actually go and like get legitimate reviews, and people knew who you were.
Yep.
There was no like Fuzzy Balls 66.
fuzzy ball.
It was your fucking name, where you lived, and yeah.
And who actually, like I said, it held them accountable. You could go back into their past reviews and see, are they legitimate people or are they just, like you said, trolling through people just to be a dick, right? I mean, that's what, and people have fun trolling to be a dick. What are we doing? What are you doing?
There
Don't
was
you have
this
better things to
one
do?
I have friends that
motherfucker.
just-
Here we go.
So we got the New York City Brewers Guild got to do our Blocktoberfest this year, and
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
it was really it was a really good time. Everybody was like so excited to be back out, like doing a festival again. and like it was a great day. Everybody had a ton of fun. We all got a touch too drunk.
Yeah. As it does at festivals.
Yeah. But most everybody like behaved themselves. There wasn't too much like throwing up in the parking lot or nothing. Like,
Par for the course.
but then I just happened to flick open Untapped. Oh no! And this is before I just like deleted it. And this motherfucker went around the entire festival, and I remember the guy. And if I ever see him again, like I'm gonna
Pour him the pour outs from the bucket. You're gonna get a pour out, buddy.
I'm not gonna say any actionable threats, but I hope he has a very nice time.
Yes.
But he just went around and tried everybody's beer, and the only place he didn't shit on was Other Half.
Of course.
Literally everybody else,
Fanboy.
he had some shitty comment to say, and he went through and he tried every single beer that everybody had.
Wow.
And he would be like, rinse this. And like, he was just being kind of a snot about it.
Yeah.
And I just like,
He was a fanboy.
Yeah.
dog, like, what do you get out of this?
Right.
Of just everybody at this festival worked really hard to be here and came out, and nobody's getting paid for this. We're all out here like, well, sometimes you're getting paid for it,
Yeah,
like if you're an
depending on-
employee or whatever.
Right.
But like, we're all out here to like make sure you guys have like, can have fun again.
Cool experience.
Like, we're trying to make it so everybody can have fun again. Everything we do as a brewery and in a restaurant, we're just trying to make it so you have a good time. And you had to come out here and just be a grump. Like, why? Like, don't just...
Yeah, don't do it. Just stay home then. At that point, just go to Other Half while the festival's going on and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, have a
fun.
good time.
Have a great time.
Go drink their IPAs. Like, they're not
See,
my-
that's one of the guys where
Wait, they have IPAs?
no. The best thing is if you get take an Other Half can.
Yeah.
Just take the label off and put it on your own can, and you put it on. You go, hey, when you try this Other Half, oh, thanks, bro. Oh, this is the best. And
Yeah.
you're like, it is the best, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's the fucking beer I brewed, you scumbag.
Caught you.
I know it's good.
I know it's good.
Because I brewed a dick. I want to quickly, because we're running out of time here, believe it or not. This has been fun. Let's talk about the future here. Where are we moving to? What's give us a little idea of kind of if there's any future plans for the brew house, and of course what's in the tanks and what's coming out in the near future.
So future plans for the brew house are just, at this point, still just to get through COVID. But
Yeah.
whenever it's over, it'll be over.
We were talking about the outside,
2047 probably.
the outside, structure you guys had built, and they kind of got rid of it. And now they're bringing it back, and they're saying it's cool. I like the idea. It was awesome. People hated it because hard to get through the city streets now and hard to do this. I get it. It was always hard. If it wasn't a structure, there was a car there. So relax.
Exactly.
Right. There was a car right there.
Or several cars.
Or something more. It completely, you couldn't even cross between the cars. They were that tight together at that point. All right. Besides that, you have a nice, big, beautiful outdoor space. You have like the entrance area where you have all your tables. That obviously you kind of outside part you built during COVID to kind of extend the brew house because at some point you couldn't let anybody in. Yep. So you were serving right out of the window as we were talking about. But is there any future plans for that structure or anything else going in the brew house that I guess seating-wise or besides the brewing area, that's going to be expanded upon or changed?
Yeah, I think our footprint is kind of what our footprint's going to be for right now. We do like that outside area, especially in the summertime.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because we have a really good relationship with the Downtown Brooklyn Alliance.
Cool.
And so we'll get that street closed off every once a weekend.
Oh,
or,
really?
once
That's
a
cool.
month, and we'll put on a concert out there, and it's
Oh,
just free
shit.
for
That's
everybody to rock
fucking cool.
up. We'll pour some beer outside and come through and have a good time.
It's
And
nice too. You got planters in there. You got it would look like a nice, cool vibe. It was just big, open, sliding doors, like barn doors. I was inspecting the whole thing. I'm like, this is better than what some of the other places are doing.
Well, that's
it's a really nice structure.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of our owner also owns a construction company. So
Bingo.
there you go.
So-
Bing bong. Bing bong.
he knows he's got a team that knows what looks good.
Yeah, it did. It was awesome, and it matched the color scheme and everything. So it kind of drew people right in.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what it is. We're starting to, we've had another change in management in the restaurant as well. We have a new general manager. He's got a lot of ideas. And so we're going to start as things kind of calm down with...
Was it that gentleman that was sitting on the side?
Yes, yeah.
Because him and we kept looking at each other. I know him from fucking somewhere. Because he kept looking over at me. I would look over at him. I'm like, I fucking know this guy. I don't know where I fucking know him, but I know this guy.
Probably sold beer to him at another restaurant
Who
sometime.
the hell knows?
Yeah.
But we're going to start having pretty regular indoor events. We've had really good success with bingo on the weekends.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
that's been
any-
super cool.
All those things work out here. You got like yoga in the morning. You got trivia nights, bingo nights, those kinds of game night where they have old school games come out. Those work so well out here.
Oh yeah, they work great in the city too. Like
Yeah.
we have trivia every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we get a really nice crowd for that. Like right now, it's playoff season for the NFL, so
Yeah.
like that's super huge. We have a really great crowd for soccer. Like
Nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
really?
Cool.
yeah, we get people coming in like the days where like soccer's on early. I'll be in there brewing, and it's like 10:30 on a Friday morning, and they're like, "You guys open?" Nah, dude, it's 10:30 in the morning. Like what? So we get that we get those guys coming in. We're gonna have a few more. We've had some really nice like drag events that have really brought out a lot of local community.
We were talking about it 2 weeks ago. Our friend Mike over at American Beauty
Drag Queen
Bar and
Beauty.
Bistro does a drag
Queen,
night.
Bingo.
Bingo. It's
Drag
his
bingo.
best night.
And
Best night of all.
they slay it. They have waiting lists. And
It's crazy.
It's a great time.
Yeah, and it really like a lot of our staff are part of the LGBT community as well, and so like we like if they think it like they want that to be their idea, like fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, cool.
Like, and so it's super inclusive. It gets a different crowd into a brewery.
Yes.
because like from being in the arts community, like a drag show is a different crowd of people than like coming to a brewery, and so like if we can get those people to meet, it takes that like. Does what we really need to do in the industry right now and make beer actually more inclusive and not just like saying it's more inclusive.
and turning more people onto it. Plus, you got the full service bar. So even if they don't like beer, they know they don't like beer. You got the full bar for them as well.
Yeah, we have something for everybody.
Right.
And you know, like I always say to like my staff when I'm training them, like, you know, we not everybody likes every beer, but we can always find a beer for everybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so like that's kind
good
of what
mantra.
we're doing.
That's a
yeah,
good mantra.
like because there's so many different styles and like
We'll find something for you. You don't worry about that. We got this.
We'll get you. We got
We'll
you.
get you there.
But yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Continue events.
Yeah.
Continue stuff like that. Anything changing in the brew house? Going to update anything? Change anything out? Increase any capacity?
There's like no room.
I know.
I was like scoping out somewhere. I think maybe in the front you have maybe some room for some more tanks, but
We don't have any space to add anything. So it'll really just come down to process work.
yeah.
So we're not really looking to expand anything there. I am really hoping to get. So right now we use a mobile packaging company, Maltman Canning. They are fantastic.
We
I
love
suggest
a Maltman.
working
we love those boys.
But I'm in the future, probably next year, trying to get my own line in there. So it's a
Okay.
little bit more efficient for us.
Sure.
But that's a whole capital expenditure, and
Like a wild goose somewhere stuck in the back, or
hopefully not a goose, but
Yeah.
No.
something.
Yeah.
cost wise, that would be a little much. But
Maybe one of the monkeys.
So I've been talking to this company out of Canada, Cask Packaging.
Yes.
They do really nice small systems. I'm not like I fucking hate a wild goose so hard.
oh yeah, bad experiences.
Yeah, they're just
Was
they're
DeClaw doing it, or was
yeah.
Yeah,
They're temperamental.
Yeah, they're very temperamental. We had a goose that we rented in Duclaw, and then we had a goose at DC Brow as well, and they were just
constant battles?
yes.
Yeah.
There was never a smooth packaging day.
Like,
But
here
I'm-
we go again. Take Bertha out and get her going.
Yeah, I got to change this chuck out again. This part isn't supposed to wear out. What the fuck? But yeah, that's kind of our next steps: upping distribution and just selling more beer. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be.
That's probably good for business.
I think so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I heard that's
Sell
a
more
good
beer.
business model.
Yeah.
Is to sell more
Should
beer.
do that.
That's why I closed.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
I didn't
before
know
we
that.
before we
Thanks,
get out of
Pete.
here, I'm going to say goodbye to Instagram. Mike, start giving us the big plug, everything that people can do to find Circa, where you're located, and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, so Circa Brewing, we are located in downtown Brooklyn at 141 Lawrence Street. We are just off the J Street Metro Tech stop on the R train, the N train, and we're a couple blocks away from the Borough Hall stop on the 4 and 5. You can also get to us on the A, C, and the F line.
Oh, okay.
It's just a little bit of a hike from the train stop over to the Metro Tech stop again. We are currently open 7 days a week. Monday through I don't know our hours. We open at 4 o'clock.
I think you open at 12 on the weekend.
Yeah,
Which is nice. That's why I was like, perfect. We'll get in there early. We'll get out early. That way it's no traffic. And it was a nice little, quick in and out.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday we open. We actually open at 11. Brunch starts at 11, runs 11 to 3, and then dinner after that.
Yep.
Beer menu all day, bar menu all day.
Bar, beer.
Happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 to 7. And my manager will be very happy with that plug. Trivia on Wednesdays, $5 beers all night on Tuesdays.
Nice.
You can find us on socials at Circa Brewing, mostly Instagram. I'm pretty sure we're on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook, so I don't
What's
know.
your MySpace presence like these days?
Very not great. Our top 8 has really been divisive.
It's all Tom. It's just Tom, and Tom. That's all right. You get through the whole thing, and then in the end, you got to come visit Circa. We had a great time yesterday, enjoying the food, the beer, the vibe of the place. Come check Mike out. I mean, it's one of those things you need to meet him, and he'll hang out and talk to you about the beer as well, just like he did with us tonight. Had a great time with you, Mike. Really appreciate you making the trek out here from
Yeah, of
Staten
course.
Island.
Thanks for having me.
Tell Pete Davidson we said hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in contact. And good luck with, you have the New York City
You don't see craft
Brew Week coming up,
Oh
right?
yeah, Brew Week is it's in February. The kickoff, the opening bash is February 26th. It's going to be down in what they're calling Industry City.
That's what it is.
We couldn't think of the name. We kept saying like
Yeah, it's all
Brooklyn
those
Navy
old,
Yard.
disrepaired warehouses. that
Yeah.
they're repurposing. It looks great from.
That's where Transmitter is.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're actually the Navy Yard.
Oh, they are in the Navy.
That's what I said.
There
I
was
knew
some, who the hell was over there?
Over in Industry City is actually Sake Distillery.
Oh, really?
There was someone else.
It wasn't
She-
Big Alice, right? Big
she-
Alice didn't have a piece of that, or
It was a female, Katerina,
Oh, that's right. You were talking about that. Yeah, you couldn't think of it.
and she was there for a short while, and then she actually moved to like Ohio or whatever. And
Oh, I don't know.
this was a while ago.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, you got that big kickoff party, and then a whole week of New York City Beer Week.
Yeah, a whole bunch of events all over the city. We haven't finalized our schedule at Circa just yet, but we'll have some special stuff out for everybody. Specifically, I'm looking forward to bringing back our barley wine that we did.
Oh, my.
Barley wine.
American style, English style.
American style barley wine fermented with New York State Concord grapes.
Hey, there you go. Keeping it real in the New York State. Love it. Mike, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much
Yeah,
for
of
making the
course.
trip.
This has been awesome. This is The Word with Mike, Pete, and Steve, GubsRadio.com. You can check us out on tomorrow probably on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcasts, and, of course, always on the Hopped Up Network. Before we get out of here, Steven, something to say before we get out of here.
If you're afraid to go outside, still get something from your local breweries, bars, restaurants. Get it to go, because when it's all said and done, you're going to need them there.
Yeah, you want them there when this is
You
all
want 'em there when
said
it's
and
over.
done. So keep, I guess.
Spend that money, you fuckers.
There you go. Pete?
I'm going to yield my time to BEERMKR.
Oh,
BEERMKR.
BEERMKR, what do you got to say?
What do you got to say?
he's been very quiet tonight,
Yeah.
and his camera went off.
Oh.
So, I mean, I could put him
There
on the big thing. This
there
one,
goes
here you
that
go.
joke.
There you go. There's BEERMKR sitting on the couch, enjoying himself. Really hasn't said much tonight. But thank you, BEERMKR, for being part of the show tonight. This is The Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve, GubsRadio.com. And we out.
Well, that's 2 hours of your life that you'll never get back.
Are you kidding me?
Please hang up and try again.
This has been The Wort on Gubs Radio. I hope you're drunk enough.